But
top 10 things in the world.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
It would be you guys.
Oh.
Numbers 2.
Welcome, everyone, to Our Town Podcast. Please take a moment to like and subscribe, share if you can, and review if available. We'd love to hear from you, so comment below and tell us how we're doing. Don't forget to visit ourtownpodcast.com for all the links and join the members-only section of the website or sign up on Patreon. Mm-hmm. Now here are the boys of Our Town Podcast.
Oh, man. Well, welcome everybody to another exciting edition of Our Town Podcast.
Extraordinaire, yeah.
Coming to you finally back. Feels like we haven't been here for a while.
Oh, yeah, we were way up north.
We were way up north,
by Santa Claus's house.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're back at the I Am Renton space here in beautiful and historic downtown Renton, Washington. Our
Thank you, Jeffrey.
home, sweet home. Boys, this is episode 97. We're slowly creeping up on 100, which makes me excited and tingly. Tonight's safe word, if I'm too tingly, is gay frog.
Gay
They're making
frog.
all the frogs gay, you know.
Yeah,
that's right.
So if you're feeling uncomfortable or you need to be checked on, just yell out "gay frog." The reason is that our favorite conspiracy theorist Alex Jones in bankruptcy lost most of his stuff, and his disinfotainment or infotainment, whatever, Infowars went to auction.
And guess who bought it? Gas.
Good.
The Onion bought
That's
it.
delicious. That is.
The Onion owns Infowars.
Yeah. So,
oh man, that dope. That fucking dope.
So that
What a dope.
Does that mean everything in the archive of Infowars is now considered satire?
I don't know. But they get everything. So they've been joking about how they have a bunch of supplements. If anybody wants any supplements, we can send them out to you.
Yeah.
Because that's how he made a ton of money with selling the supplements. But yeah, it went to a quiet, silent auction with the government, and we don't know the details on how much they actually spent to get the disinfotainment Infowars.
How about Tree Biddy?
I have no idea,
I don't
man.
know. I mean, I don't really picture the Onion as just rolling around in piles of cash.
I think what they did was like, hey, we have the opportunity to buy Infowars and turn it into a satire website. Can you help us
That's what they're going to do,
I'm surprised that some kind of right-wing propaganda network didn't try to grab it just for the brand.
Just for the brand.
Yeah, just for the brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Newsmax or something
like that. Something like that,
yeah. So the auction firm that was running the sale said there are, quote, no restrictions on the use of any acquired property in the bankruptcy order.
There you go.
So, Todd, I think that would mean that they get all the archives of all the crap he spewed over the years and all that stuff.
And I really hope the Onion puts it into their archive of satire.
I mean, it's bonkers. That guy's, it's the WWF of information.
Yeah.
It's just garbage.
Garbage stuff.
Just garbage. Just garbage. And it's not, at least with the Onion, or any kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff, right? That's different. Right? Because they're having fun. It's like that guy was just trying to erode trust in other Americans.
What was your guys' introduction to the Onion? For me, it was the very special forces. It was George W. Bush. It was an article about how George W. Bush was hiring people, special education people to be in the military. It was really funny.
That's awesome. I don't remember the one. I just know they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, we had a coffee table book at Liberty.
Oh, did you?
And so one of them was Cambodia to stop using the skull as its national currency.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Yes, but exactly.
The thing I loved about the article that I saw was it showed like Corky from Life Goes On wearing fatigues, and it had what do they call those planes that they transport troops?
The big
C-130 or something.
But they called it like it had
the Hercules.
It said short bus on the side of the.
Come on.
Come on, Onion. I take offense to that.
For someone who spent the entirety of their academic career in special ed, I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
So yeah, if anybody's feeling unsafe tonight, just yell out "Gay Frog." We'll stop this here program and check But I did see that he is like camped out in the building and he's refusing to leave. Like he's saying they're going to have to remove him or
He's
something.
like the old man at the foot of St. Helens.
Yeah.
Man. And when he started out, he was just a local like rabble rouser. Because what's the movie? A Slacker. He's at the beginning of Slackers. Him driving around Austin like a psycho.
Oh, is he
with
really?
speakers on his
Man,
car.
God.
You know what I mean? But then I don't know. He just went bonkers. He got a taste of fame and went bonkers.
Yes.
It happens.
It happens.
Right? Some people get fucking monkeys and tigers and shit. And some people fucking join right-wing psycho conspiracies. You know, like
Monkeys and tigers.
yeah, or just dingbats.
Psycho dingbats.
It's all kind of
Oh,
dingbats.
somebody's calling me right in the middle of the
Popular.
show. This is a new one. Public service. It's
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
yeah. I'm going to answer that
Yeah, well,
one.
watch how
Jeez.
quickly I picked that up.
Yeah, going to voice.
I mean, yep.
Guys, I, just so you know, for the bonus round tonight, I couldn't just pick 5, so I kind of doubled up on it. So I don't know if you want me to like pick out the one that excess
No,
ones.
I mean, we're open to.
Yeah, well, we'll fill
So
it
what's our
out when
bonus
we
round,
get there.
boys?
So tonight, guys,
what's
the
Todd
theme for
speaking of?
tonight, episode 97, is we're doing our favorite, or we're talking about Saturday morning cartoons and cartoons in general, because I know there's a lot of cartoons that maybe either started out as Saturday morning cartoons and then went into syndication for after school, or they
vice versa,
or
yeah.
vice versa. So we're just going to keep it sort of loose on that, but we're talking about all those cartoons from the 60s, 70s, and 80s that we grew up on, early 90s, all that stuff.
Gen X and like elder millennials
Yes.
will understand.
We'll totally understand. So, cartoon.
Or as they call themselves, the Zennials.
Oh, jeez.
Because you know they're still millennials, but they're more Gen X than they are Zennial.
We'll accept them all. Boys, the era of the Saturday morning cartoon is generally regarded as the mid-'60s to the very early 1990s.
Yep.
Saturday morning cartoons did continue for a while, but
I mean, I
not
think
on the scale that it was.
Yeah, it stopped being a really big thing in the mid 90s, I think. But
Yeah, the big 3 networks mostly ended in the 90s.
Yeah, because then cable came along anyway.
Cable came along and they replaced most of it with like teen dramas,
yeah,
right?
like
Saved by the Bell
Saved by the
comes to
Bell,
mind.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a Saturday morning show?
It was,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it started as something Miss Bliss.
Yeah.
And it was on Disney Channel. Then it didn't do that great, but
NBC picked it up, right?
They moved it over to a different network and then changed it to be about the kids and not the teachers.
That's right, yeah.
But the timeline kind of follows the saturation of television, right, in households, right?
Yeah.
Because kids were going to school already, but I guess on Saturday they had to go to work.
Well, it came about because TV stations and networks figured out that they could create these very cheap animated shows to fill those slots and get a lot of watchers and get a lot of advertising dollars from toy companies and cereal companies and candy companies and all that stuff. And it was really cheap to do, and they could also grab all of the old movie theater cartoons, a la Looney Tunes, Woody Woodpecker, Felix the Cat, stuff like that, and repackage it into a half-hour show and throw it on Saturday morning with a bunch of ads.
I think in 2017 there was a feature-length Woody Woodpecker movie that came out.
I feel like that, but I don't think it was well received, maybe.
I watched it. I didn't hate it. It was very reminiscent of the original we watched as a kids. So.
Yeah, man, he went on. He was an enduring character. Now
And the guy who voiced Woody in that did a fantastic job. Eric Bauza is his name, and he actually has been the one who's been doing Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck over the last 10 years.
Yeah, and so with the rise of the Saturday morning cartoon and the ads that went along with it, parents groups started to get involved and started throwing a fit about the non-educational aspect of the shows and that they were direct marketing to kids.
Yeah.
So they started fighting it late 60s, somewhere around there. It was Action for Children's Television, concerned about not only that, but also about the violence, the stereotypes, the commercialism, the antisocial behaviors associated with hours of sitting in front of the
How
TV.
dare they?
Well, and I think that's when cartoons started doing like the and now you
Yes,
know.
it is, yeah, for sure.
In the 80s.
Yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. But they did a lot of research and they figured out that
I learned something today.
yeah, that the long-term effects of watching, 3-hour blocks of TV in a day would affect the kids that had a difficult time differentiating between the ad and the show.
Yeah,
and stuff
I mean,
like
well,
that.
Madison Avenue
I mean,
perfected that,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
in the
Product placement,
in the 50s and 60s, cartoons were the ads because like the the Flintstones did cigarette ads and I think even beer ads too. I think
And that's weird because the Flintstones started out as an adult primetime.
Yeah.
it was a primetime show. That's probably why they had those ads.
And then they dropped it into syndication for kids on the Saturday morning blocks, right?
And I think that's when it went from black and white to color too.
That could be. So, yeah, 1978, the Federal Trade Commission attempts to ban all direct advertising to children under the age of 6. So
I
they
mean,
said
does
that you
seem
can't.
unreasonable?
I don't know. I mean,
Just leave it to the invisible hand of the marketplace.
yes. But again, it's like if you want your kids listening to that music, if you don't want your kids watching that movie or that TV show, turn it off.
Yeah.
Get rid of the TV.
But that's not how
That's not how it
busybodies
works.
deal with
that's not how
stuff.
Republican households work, man.
Yeah.
No, well, there's just busybodies too,
And
because they were mad at PBS too.
Yes. And I do know that us Gen Xers, a lot of us were not only raised on TV, but it was sort of a babysitter, right? Mom and Dad had stuff to do, so they'd plop us in front of the TV so you could get stuff done.
Especially during the winter months, because they didn't want you running around outside when it's cold and wet.
Oh yeah, I don't know where. Man, you guys lucked out because no, I didn't have any of that.
No.
I wasn't watching TV. They had me doing something.
Doing something.
Some shitty thing.
Go ride your bike.
No.
Build
no,
a fence.
No. Yeah, exactly. Pull weeds in the driveway.
Man.
No, certainly. Oh yeah.
Mike's got.
So this is why you don't have a TV today, huh?
No, I don't have a TV today because if a TV is on, I watch it.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Get sucked into it.
I get sucked into it. It works on me. Whatever they do, it works on me. I can't.
the
My house can be
ADHD,
burning
Mike.
down. There's like the Swedish bikini team. And I'm watching the TV. It's like Rachel Ray murdering Pad Thai.
Yes.
Oh man! So a lot of so what Todd was talking about earlier, by the '80s, these lobbying groups had really had an effect on it, and TV producers were required to put some kind of educational material into the cartoon, so that what we said: the more you know, now you know,
G.I.
knowing
Joe,
is half
what
the
was that?
battle.
Well, I mean, I think the first time I saw those things was on the Fat Albert cartoons. I learned something today.
Yes, Fat Albert was always, and I'm not giving Bill Cosby any love, but he did a good job of making that cartoon an
It was a good
educational
program. No, he just ended up being
program, right? Yes.
Yeah, he had
But
to
that was a
put-
great program.
I think he had to put forth a really good image in order to kind of counteract what he was actually doing.
And I don't know if he was doing his awful shit at that point in his life. I really don't know.
Yeah, who knows when he started? But
And who knows?
Jeez.
But the Fat Albert Show was awesome. I used to watch that.
Oh yeah, it was great.
I was like, I always wanted to know how the hell were they able to make such great music out of junk from a junkyard?
Yeah. Oh man,
It's a cartoon.
and the Brown Hornet later on, right? The Brown Hornet.
How they turn that what do they call those metal heater things in apartments?
Radiator.
Radiator. How they turn the radiator into a squeeze box?
Yeah. And they weigh like 150 pounds. So lobbying groups that represented like toy companies and cereal manufacturers, stuff like that, they got together and sort of made a deal and said that we would make more educational material. EI, which I think stands for Education and Information or something like that. That they would include this stuff into the cartoon. So, as you know, if anybody's ever watched the G.I. Joe commercial, at the end, there's a small segment, and a lot of them were just stupid advice, right? But it was like stranger danger.
Stranger danger, don't cross the street unless the light says to go.
Yeah.
That's, but I mean,
It's
that's
common sense stuff, really.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
fucking bears for pigs.
Don't play chicken with your bikes.
Don't give anybody your personal information
Oh,
and
sure,
stuff
sure,
like
sure.
that. They actually hired, and I don't know the guy's name, but they hired like a Harvard or Yale child psychologist professor to come in and actually write these things. But
Well,
it was
man.
always some kid that was with a group of kids, at least in the G.I. Joe ones, that was about to do something stupid, and all the other kids were like, I don't know if you should do that, Billy. And then Roadblock or Duke or Lady J or somebody would show up.
Hey, don't do that, kid, because you could really get hurt.
Oh, and now I know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Did Transformers do that?
Did.
Okay.
They did. However, you didn't see them as much in the States, but they had them. I've seen them.
The public service.
It was the same exact thing, except for G.I. Joe characters. They had Transformers. Like Bumblebee would show up, or Cliff Jumper, or Optimus Prime, and it was like, and now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
Transformers.
So for 29 minutes of the show, everybody's shooting at each other. Planes are getting blown up. Nobody really dies, but there's just
always somebody ejecting
fist
from the plane
fights.
right before
Yes,
the plane
like the
explodes.
A-Team, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then the last minute or last 30 seconds was the educational message.
Yeah, and like all the Hanna-Barbera stuff did and I learned something today, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, in fact, some of the networks, like Schoolhouse Rock, started in 1973.
Sure.
And so they use that to kind of offset it, too. It's like, hey, we're teaching you what a conjunction junction is, or how a bill.
On Capitol Hill. And it kept all those old actors working. All those old radio actors.
Well, the thing is, it was one guy that did all the singing, and he was the guy who did the animation too.
Nice.
But if you have not seen those since we were kids, they are on Disney Plus.
What's that, Schoolhouse Rock?
Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh, Schoolhouse
geez.
Rock.
All right.
There was also one called the Bod Squad. Did anybody remember the Bod Squad? I don't know if it was like a body thing, maybe.
Yeah, wasn't it the guy that had like the guts on the outside?
Was that the dude
I don't
that
know.
was
That's
wearing the
creepy. The
spandex
bodysuit?
suit
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
could
yeah.
see all the
Being
where the organs are and shit?
I want.
And this is how I poop, and it
this
works
is my
way
pack for you. Do you remember when that guy? There was a guy who dressed in one of those and would go on a Conan, early Conan. Like Conan O'Brien's.
It might be the same.
And then every time somebody would pat him
It was
or
the
something,
same
and he'd
guy,
go,
Mike. It was the same guy. I think.
Was that the same dude
my
with the
God.
curly hair?
Yes.
Yeah.
the Bod Squad?
What a weird.
The Bod Squad.
What a bit. What a weird.
I had never
fucking
heard
bit
about that.
is.
And then in 1983, NBC started One to Grow On. And those were like very short little, but I think they were live action, Todd. Do you remember those?
What was that?
The One to Grow On, NBC. Weren't they like little live action public service
I
announcements?
think they were like claymation, if I remember.
Oh, were they claymation?
Jeez, well, there goes the low budget bit.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because I mean, they're supposed to work within the public
Oh
good,
yeah,
right?
I do.
So that way they
These
can-
were like all about like fruits and veggies and just
That was the Bod Squad?
Bod
the
Squad.
box,
Yeah.
but look at how woke
Okay.
that is.
Yeah. It's like carrots are good for your eyes.
Yeah.
Eat your broccoli.
I don't know, because vegetables are good, man. But then
They
we
are.
got more processed foods and all that stuff, which, they're safe.
Yeah, but that was mostly just so that the networks could go back. Sorry, the networks could go back and say, "Well, we've got X amount of public service announcement that happened."
They have to do a certain, just like news and all that kind of stuff. They kind of have to do that.
Yeah.
Then cable changed all that, so now you can just have
It
a
looks
Hallmark
like the Bod
channel.
Squad was a live action thing. I'm looking at all the photos here.
The Bod Squad was, or
But there was also
That's
cartoons.
where they go to the morgue.
There was cartoons involved as well, but
here's what you look like if you.
here we go.
Yeah, that's the Bod Squad.
I mean, that's cute.
It's the 70s. Everybody's
It's the
wearing gold.
70s, I know.
like the electric company or something.
That was the best. With the worst Spider-Man of all time. He just threw a net, kind of.
It was like a net you'd see on a boat.
I mean, it was corny.
Yeah.
An old-
It was
Yeah,
corny.
and they were really
But I was
short,
stoked
right?
on it, yeah.
And he
Yeah.
never said anything. There was always word bubbles. And they were like,
Yeah.
and there'd be a word bubble above his head. And
Oh, God.
what's his name? Damn it. Morgan Freeman, thank you. Morgan Freeman would go, look at the word bubble and go, yeah, man.
Oh, man.
Man.
And that was on the reefer of that point. You know what I mean? Their weed was weak, and they were trippy people.
I think they had to lace their weed with other things.
Yeah, maybe. So at some point, the networks go ahead and find a workaround from all these public service announcements. What do? They repackage all these Saturday morning cartoons into weekday cartoons where the rules didn't apply. So Saturday morning, you had to have all the rules and regulations and the public service announcements and all that stuff. But after school, you didn't have to have them.
Because they already been learning all day, so they didn't need
They didn't need it, I guess. So they repackaged them, and then weekday afternoons was filled with cool cartoons. At least KSTW and KCPQ here in the Seattle area, Channel 11, Channel 13.
I don't remember which channel it was on, but G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, I think we're all on the same network.
Yeah.
And it had to be. You know what? I'm thinking it was Channel 11. It was either 11 or it was 7. One of the two.
Yeah.
Which are local affiliates.
At that point, they were.
11 was a standalone, right?
Yeah, that was a local store. Yeah, it
4,
didn't have-
5, and 7 were the affiliates.
Yeah, 4, 5, and 7 are the ones, NBC, ABC, and CBS. And then we didn't have the other ones until the 90s.
Fox and CW and all that stuff.
And, oh, yeah. Well, UPN is what it was originally.
UPN, yeah.
The UPN network. United Paramount Network.
Yeah. Yeah, and now those don't really matter anymore. I mean, ABC, NBC does, but...
The CW
Kinda
is
the
still around.
legacy stuff, but not as much.
It plays a lot of reality shows and God programming.
Yeah.
Who does that?
CW.
Well, speaking of the CW, they were the very last network station to air Saturday morning cartoons in America. They broadcasted the final run of what they called the Vortex animated lineup on September 27th, 2014. The cartoons that were involved in this were like Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z Kai, and others, but
All
that
the
was
anime.
their Vortex sort of anime.
That was on CW?
That was on CW up until 2014 and that was the last. So there's no Saturday morning cartoons now at all.
I mean,
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch cartoons on Saturday morning if you tune into
And now you can use YouTube.
Cartoon
just
Network
stream
and
something.
Nickelodeon have them, but
Yeah, do you guys remember as kids? I mean, would you grabbing some cereal and heading for the TV?
grab up
Did
all
you
the
not allowed to do
cereal.
Not
that?
much. I remember during school days we would watch Star Blazers.
In the morning.
Yeah.
Before school.
Before school, yes.
No, I'm telling you, man. Maybe if I was sick or something, you know what I mean, or faking it as best I could.
But no.
I got a tummy ache.
Mike, did you ever see more than the same 4 episodes of Star Blazers? 'Cause
I
for
think
me,
I feel like I've seen a lot of.
I remember seeing the same 3 or 4 episodes.
And
How many episodes was that?
I feel like it went on for like 4 or 5 seasons.
There was 4 seasons, and I think a total of 80 episodes.
Because the guitar player from the Ego Whips had him on VHS.
Oh, serious?
So that was 91 or whatever. And that was cool.
I have them on my computer, and when I first found them, I binge watched the entire series.
Nice. I got to do that. It sounds awesome. Because it just with my brother and I. Get to the TV, get out of the way.
We're gonna
watch it. But Saturday mornings, I mean, is it just it wasn't a phenomenon for you, but
because I could hide.
They
didn't know where to find.
No, that was my thing, man. Wake up late.
That's great.
Get my cereal.
My mom was always, how is it you can wake up and watch cartoons on Saturday morning, but you can't get up to go to school?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
I was like, because I want to watch Super Friends, Mom. I don't want to go to school.
Super Friends?
Yeah, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Was Super Friends Saturday morning?
It was.
Super Friends was Saturday morning. So we'll talk about that
the original series came out like the early to mid 70s.
Yeah, so good. Solomon
It was right before Richard Donner's Superman. So and that was my introduction to Superman and Batman.
Nice.
Was it on Super Friends?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice. Wonder Twin power.
Yeah.
Even before
way before that.
Yeah, they were the shark jumpers.
Marvin and Wendy, I think, were the teenagers and they had a talking dog too. It was very much like Scooby-Doo and Friends. And the thing is the dog and Marvin were both voiced by Frank Welker, and he also was like the Joker too on the Super Friends.
I got to say that Gleek, wasn't that the monkey?
Yes.
He was the Ted McGinty.
Ted McGinnis? Yeah, he totally was.
Gleek was voiced by the same guy who did Duke.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like, you want to know who can kill the Super Friends?
Gleek.
Yeah.
I mean,
canceled.
No, I think
until they brought it back on Cartoon Network. Though,
if anything, the character that killed the Super Friends, it was Firestar. They remember that the jock and the science teacher became the superhero that had like the ability to change the molecular structure of things.
Firestorm.
Firestorm, thank you.
Storm.
I know.
Firestar's the lady.
Yeah, on Spider-Man and his Amazing Friend. He was a much better character.
Before we jump into the different eras and the different shows, I do want to do a special shout out to one of my all-time favorites was Banana Splits.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the reason I'm mentioning is because they have the animated cartoons built within the Banana Split.
I have those too.
I know.
It's just chock full of everything, right?
Sid and Marty Krofft, right?
Oh, was it really?
Sid Krofft was at HorrorCon.
Oh, recently?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I just was looking up the list of people that were there because I knew like Elvira was there, and I knew the two main male characters in The Lost Boys were there.
Oh, that's right. Was that just this last month?
Halloween weekend, dude. Keith Sutherland and somebody Patrick.
Jason Patrick,
thank you.
Yeah, geez. So I'm just giving a special shout out. I thought about going through all the Sid and Marty Krofft stuff, but they're not animated for the most part. This one was. And we should do maybe a whole episode on just Sid and Marty Krofft.
It's just bonkers.
I have HR Puff and Stuff, Lidsville, the Bugaloos.
Which is Martha Ray.
Right? And then what was the other one that I Lost Saucer.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sigmund and the Sea Monster.
That one and Far Out Space Nuts. Those are all the ones I have. And then I have the Super Hour or whatever it was. They had the Super Buggy and Electro Woman and Dyna Girl.
Oh yeah, man. Which did also make a comeback
because that was
Dr. Shrinker as well.
Was that Deborah Winger and?
Oscar Award nominated Deborah Winger.
Was it Deborah Winger and who was the blonde?
That was the blonde.
Deborah Winger was the.
I'm pretty sure it was.
Bonkers. Bonkers.
She was a big name actress too.
Everybody's got to work. I've done jobs.
They did a Electro Woman and Dyna Girl movie about 10 years ago.
Give or take, it's decent. It's kitschy and fun.
Who was in that?
Some
comedians. I recognized it, but I couldn't tell.
Oh no, it was Deidre Hall.
Oh yes,
was Electra woman, and Judy Stringus was Dinah Girl. I thought maybe that was Deborah Winger.
Don't
but-
flingus the mingus.
Yes,
Julie Stringus.
exactly. Yeah, so back to Banana Splits. It ran for 31 episodes on ABC Saturday mornings from September 1968 to September of 1970, and then went into syndication for 12 years, from 70
Did it
to
really
82.
go for 12 years?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I remember looking for it when I was a kid, because I remember seeing it when I was at a babysitter's house.
Yeah.
And then was never able to find it after that. And I was real little when it came out.
Yeah, it was great because it came out before and ended before we were born.
Yeah.
But then it was in syndication
We
for
watched
so
it in
long.
syndication then.
Yeah. So the show featured the Banana Splits band, which was a bunch of costume dogs, right?
Well, they were all dogs.
Yeah, do we know who they are? Were
The
they
names of them or the
was
people?
it the monkeys, the people? Yeah. See?
Davy Jones.
No, I mean they were different animals. There was Drooper, who was a dog, and then Bingo, I think, was also a dog. There was two dogs, but there was also a lion and an elephant.
But they were all in a band, right? They all played as, and
yeah.
they did songs, and they had the little cars that they drove, and they were just like bonkers stuff.
And I think that was all filmed in like a weekend somewhere.
Yes, like
and then they
every
would just
episode.
slice Those,
Yeah.
those pieces in, right?
They filmed it, I think, Knoxbury Farm or one
Oh,
of those
nice.
other
Oh, geez.
Nice.
smaller, like.
Oh, geez, I always assumed that was British.
Nice.
No, that was all filmed in California.
Yeah. So the big, when they weren't doing the variety stuff with those, they had the short cartoons, which included Arabian Nights, The
Yep.
Three Musketeers,
Yep.
Danger Island, and Micro Ventures.
Yep.
Three Musketeers got replaced in season 2 by the Hillbilly Bears, which I don't remember as well.
I do. Those were hilarious.
And then didn't they have Gulliver's Travel in there too?
Yeah, they did.
They didn't come up on the thing, but I sort of remember Gulliver's Travel
I
as being a
remember
part
that
of.
too, and I'm pretty sure.
Unless
I
that's a Mandela effect.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it is.
Hanna-Barbera somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not have been attached directly to the Banana Splits, but I do remember that.
I wonder if
It's
they
a
added
Banana
that in.
Split.
Oh, you know what? It might have been the
Syndication.
It might have been the Micronaut ones.
The Micro Ventures.
Micro Ventures. That might be the big.
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
like but I feel like Gulliver's Travels was its standalone cartoon.
Yeah, I just remembered the little guys like, "We'll never make it."
Yeah,
remember
who's
that?
What is that?
Remember that was Gulliver's Travels.
Oh,
One of the
yes.
Lilliputians
Yeah.
that would travel and they would do that.
We'll
We'll never make it.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome.
Sounds like Edna from the Incredibles. No capes.
Yeah.
But that was you're telling me Banana Splits is Sid and Marty Krofft and not Hanna-Barbera.
Created it, but with Hanna-Barbera.
Well, Sid and Marty Krofft did all the live action stuff, and
They did all the costumes. all the-
Hanna-Barbera did all the animation.
All right. And so Sid and Marty Krofft produced their stuff in these United States?
Yeah, but I
Yes,
think they
sir.
were from Canada, weren't they?
I just
I don't
that stuff just
remember. I just
reeks
remember- I mean-
of British gin.
Marty Krofft died in the last few years, but Sid Krofft is on Instagram, and he goes live all the time.
Is he an
Oh, man.
American?
I think so. He sounded. I mean, he doesn't have an accent that I can.
Jeez, I don't. For some reason, I always assumed that they were all Brit.
Did he pronounce about a boot or anything?
Well, it might be because the kid was on the pub and stuff.
Oh yeah, with the magic flute.
Yeah.
And the witch and stuff.
Yeah. How do I know this?
Man, we needed. We'll do an episode on just
I mean, it's bonkers.
Sid and Marty Krofft stuff.
It's bonkers.
I know.
But Martha Ray was an amazing talent.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe that should be a radio play parody, right? We do a.
Oh, man.
Although their costumes were so.
Yeah, a lot of it is
awesome,
visual, right?
So it is very visual.
Because yeah, it's
but-
not as highbrow as our usual stuff, you know.
What are we talking about?
Oh.
Well, we do radio parodies. Last year we did the Star Wars Holiday Special as a radio parody, and this year we're doing the Smurfs.
Very
very
Smurfy
Smurfmas, coming to you probably around December 16th. So be looking for that. So Banana Splits, big love in my heart for that, man. I just have fond memories of
Have
that.
either of you seen the Banana Splits movie that came out 4 years ago?
No,
4 years ago, because it's a horror film, because the
Well,
like Winnie the Pooh,
so
murder.
So what happened was, and I read this because it's like there's no way that they intended to use the banana splits for this script because this was god awful. But I think it was supposed to be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and they couldn't get the rights to the characters, so they said, "Yeah, we'll still make it. We'll just use the banana splits because they're kind of the same thing, right? Because there's a bunch of their mascot costumes, right? So we'll just tell people that instead of people inside, they're robots."
So was it a horror movie?
It was.
Oh man!
It was a.
Quit trying to ruin my childhood.
It was not a proper for adults horror movie. This isn't a horror movie for children because it's creepy and spooky, but it's not terrifying.
It's not bloody and
it's not bloody.
And they did make a Five Nights at Freddy's.
They did, and that was fucking terrifying. Yeah.
Boys, let's jump into some of the eras. The 1960s, where it all began. The 1960s are sort of defined by superheroes and old serials and movie theater cartoons, is what the 60s Saturday morning cartoon was about.
Wasn't that what serials were, though? Like movie?
Yeah, like short.
Yeah,
animated film chapter stuff. Yeah, so but they could repurpose them and put it in there. So big ones then. We talked already about the Flintstones, 1960 to 66. One of everybody's favorites, the Bugs Bunny Show, which ran forever off and on, 1960 to 2000.
Wow.
Right, and this by no means is a complete list.
Seriously.
But the Alvin Show, which I think is Alvin and the Chipmunks, right?
Oh,
the original, but in the 60s, and then there was a revival in the 80s. With the Dave's son, I think. The original creator of the Alvin and the Chipmunks, who did the 60s era stuff, his son revived it in the 80s.
Took it over and
brought it back.
Did the original guy die or something?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or just said, I'm done with the Alvin.
Killed and buried by chipmunks. Oh, man. But it's an interesting bit that went on for 60 years.
Did you guys ever hear the Bob Rivers version of that song?
No.
The Christmas,
I think I want a hula hoop.
Chipmunks, something every year. And it was actually the person who did all the Dave parts in the song was Pat Cashman.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Alvin!
Yeah.
And of course, they couldn't say Alvin, Simon, and Theodore, so they had similar names.
Melvin.
It was Melvin.
Melvin. Oh, nice. Melvin. Yeah. Stop me if you guys want to talk about any of these specifically, but like the Jetsons started 62, 63, and then picked up again in the 80s. One of my favorites might be on my list, Johnny Quest.
Oh,
yes.
Because it was just such a cool adventure thing, right? And you were like, you could relate to the guy because he's, roughly a little bit older than us, maybe watching it.
I think he was
having adventures.
I think he was supposed to be like 12 or 13.
Yeah. So he might have been a year or two older than what we were watching, but
something like that.
62.
Plus we got Venture Brothers out of it.
And we got Venture Brothers out of it. Yes,
I did see the crossover episode with the Venture Brothers, and that was really good.
Yeah. But, what was the Brock? No, Brock is in the Venture Brothers.
Who's the guy in a?
Race
Bannon. Yes.
What a name. That's the best friggin'...
It's like the most alpha male names ever. But,
super stud. It's so good.
But like the Jetsons, I remember reading someplace that the Jetsons was the inspiration for the Space Needle.
No, maybe so.
Wasn't the World's Fair like in the late 60s?
I thought it was
62.
60, yeah.
So...
My parents got married the same year.
So it came out the same year. So maybe it was the other way around.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
and it was kind of the vibe of the age, right? The space age with
the space age, skyscrapers were all going to be like UFOs on top of stilts.
Yes. And what is that sort of conspiracy theory between the Jetsons and the Flintstones, that the Flintstones were stuck on Earth after like a nuclear war, and the Jetsons were like the people that were able to live in the sky up above the atmosphere?
They kind of did that story with the Alita Battle Angel movie.
Oh.
You've never seen that. That's kind of what
I
that is.
haven't. But the fact that the Flintstones celebrate Christmas would mean that they were
Yes, post yes.
Jesus at least, right?
I didn't know the Flintstones celebrated Christmas. That's great.
You know, there is a Flintstones version of the Scrooge story.
Yeah.
So
Oh, geez.
Are you able to do a good Fred? Maybe we do a Flintstones next year.
Fred's great.
Barney? Yeah, I can maybe. I have never tried.
Wilma!
I know.
Hey there. I can do Yogi Bear. Hey buddy.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey boo boo. Give me that picnic basket and that dildo.
I have vague memories of this in syndication, obviously, because this was 63 to 67, but the Magilla Gorilla show.
I remember it. I remember watching it Saturday mornings. It was that was a giant grape. No, that's Grape Ape.
Grape Ape.
Grape Ape.
Magilla Gorilla. I do kind of remember that one though.
Well, it had to have been in syndication throughout the 70s and 80s, right?
Yeah.
At some point, but I don't remember the premise of it. Was it kind of like a
he was a
Scooby-Doo?
gangster. No, it was like 1920s.
Magilla Gorilla. Wasn't he? No.
I think he was like a mobster.
Oh, really?
My phone.
Huh.
I'm gonna have to.
Nice.
That's a cool name, but
might
who's
be-
making the pitch?
I might be confusing the two cartoons because I'm thinking he lived in like a zoo or something, and you know,
Through poo.
Maybe it's Grape Ape.
That's all he does. throw doo-doo at people. But geez, here's one that people always reference lovingly, and I don't think I've ever seen any of it, but Underdog.
I remember commercials for it, but I don't think I ever watched it. I still have it, by the way. There was a CD I bought in the 90s. It was like Saturday morning like favorites or something like that, and it was like modern musicians covering like Saturday morning cartoon theme songs, and the Underdog theme song, I remember that song. I don't remember watching the show.
I do remember the Adam Ant Secret Squirrel show.
Jeez.
The Adam Ant, especially, didn't they do a Saturday Night Live?
Adam Ant.
Yeah, they did a Saturday Night Live skit where it was like all the superheroes. John Belushi was the Hulk, and Dan Aykroyd was like Superman or something. And then somebody,
Garrett Morris was Ant-Man.
was Ant-Man, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm."
I do remember this show. He was like he lived in like in a pet store. He was in the window of the pet store.
Oh, the Magilla Gorilla?
Yeah, and then Grape Ape was the one that was like in a zoo or something.
I don't know, man. Geez, the Beatles even had their own show, their animated show, 65 to 69. But that wasn't voiced by them, I would
It was
imagine.
not. It was probably like Paul Frees and Daz Butler and those guys.
Yeah.
They were just getting a check.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, for their likeness.
I do know that the voice of in the Animaniacs of the two brothers, the one that had the red hat, his voice is supposed to be like John Lennon, but kind of a smaller voice because he's a little guy. So, but he's basically doing an impression of John Lennon.
Jeez. This one that everybody talks about, I don't think I've ever seen, but Space Ghost. And then they did the Space Ghost Coast to Coast.
I do remember
Yes.
watching Space Ghost, and it was kind of like Batman or Superman in outer space, and it was kind of, and he had his two sidekicks were teenagers, and then there was like either a space monkey or some other animal.
Of course. Did they just go around and do superhero stuff, like help people?
Oh.
Did they fly, or were they in a ship?
Yeah, he flew, he flied, whatever the past tense of flying is. But yeah, he flew, and he had like on his
Yeah, he was a
gauntlet-
technology guy.
He had blasters on his gauntlets, and he blasted people.
Yeah, was he kind of like a Star-Lord then?
Yeah, I think we're
mean-
like an intergalactic cop.
So think of Superman. If Superman was kind of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, he's not real bright, but in the original cartoon, he was actually a really smart guy, and he figured shit out.
It's kind of sounding like a cross between Batman and Superman then.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Robin was two kids instead of one.
Geez, everybody's favorite Fantastic Four ran from 67 to 70, but
did?
Everybody was sort of down on it because
they replaced Johnny Storm.
Yes, they got rid of Johnny Storm, and they had this goofy robot named Herbie.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Some thought it was due to censors worried about kids playing with matches to try to,
I'm going to catch myself on fire.
I'm going to be Johnny Storm.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, it was more about buying the rights to use the character, I guess.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know if Johnny Storm. I thought Johnny Storm was only Fantastic Four.
Well, he's the Human Torch.
Yes.
That's different.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
But that's a separate person, right?
No, it's the same guy. Johnny Storm is his alter ego.
No, right. But
Human Torch is his superhero name.
like in the original Avenger comics, there was a Human Torch.
Yeah, and is
that Johnny Storm? That's with the Fantastic Four?
That's a great question. I don't know. I
don't
assume
know
so, but
any
maybe
other
that's
way.
copyright
Johnny
or
Storm
the-
is Human Torch, as far as I know.
Okay.
I don't
Because he
know.
would have got
That's
his
a good
power with the Fantastic Four. He got his
Right.
power same
Yeah.
time as Sue Storm and
Yeah, because
Everybody
Unless they
else.
had a different version back in the 60s. It's
I
entirely
don't know.
possible.
I'm going to go home and
Rewrote it
Wikipedia
somehow,
the hell out of some Human Torch and stuff.
You can get on the Google it right there, right now.
Now we got to get a show done here. Georgia the Jungle, 1967.
Watch out for that
Georgia
tree.
the Jungle. There was also the one with the Canadian Mountie.
Yeah. That's
And Brendan Fraser played both of these characters in the
that was
live
the
action.
same animation company.
Yeah,
It's the same people that did Rocky and Bullwinkle.
I would think so.
What is the name of the
I can't
Canadian
remember
one?
the Canadian one.
Yeah.
We'll think of it.
Mountie something.
Yeah.
It's,
Boys, this was kind of a psychedelic one. I think the Herculoids, 1967.
Yeah.
I remember watching that on Saturday morning.
Yeah, in syndication.
Because that's the one that had like the gooey.
Yeah, the gloop gloops, gloop gloop, gloopity gloop gloops. Yeah.
Somebody was doing a little hashish or something right in
man.
that thing, man.
Because they show the drawings to the boss first. They're like, it's cute, kids all love it. But then like, now we got to write around these fucking things.
We get this
How do you
scary
write
looking thing that looks kind of like a Triceratops
Yeah, but
without
it shoots little boot 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 boot
without the
things.
shield on his head,
Yeah.
and it shoots rocks out of its
Yeah,
nostril.
somehow, yeah.
But Herculoids weren't based on any kind of comic book or anything,
No,
right?
not
This
that
was
I'm aware of,
pure
no.
animated.
I think since then it's come back because there's been a bunch of, kind
Nostalgic.
of flavorful,
I mean,
nostalgic stuff.
Warner Brothers in the last 3 or 4 years brought back a bunch of the old Hanna-Barbera characters on a TV show called Jellystone.
Oh.
And they updated a bunch of the characters. So like Augie Doggy and his daughter, actually was it Augie Doggy? Augie Doggy was the kid, and then Daddy Dog or whatever. Either way, those two they gender swapped the kid to a girl. They did the same thing with a couple of the other characters. They're now girls instead of boys. So. But it's not terrible. The animations, the design style of it's kind of like Adventure Time. It's very like refrigerator art looking.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah.
Jeez. Boys, Mike's favorite, Spider-Man, 67 to 70. And that's the one where you get the meme with the all pointing at each other and stuff.
I believe so, yeah.
Just a horrible animation, too.
Just horrible.
Yeah.
But they're just
But, I
jumping
mean,
on the
it is
bandwagon.
Spider-Man.
Oh, and when you're a kid, it doesn't matter.
It didn't matter because you're just
Doesn't
watching
matter.
Spider-Man.
I think the 1980 version of Spider-Man is the one that introduced me to Spider-Man. Actually, no, I take that back. The Spider-Man that I was introduced to, if it wasn't the Electric Company, it was the live-action series.
Which was god awful.
In the 70s with
where
like the Hulk.
The guy's climbing the wall like this.
Oh man, I mean it's bad.
There's
It's like you're saying, I know you're getting $50 a week for this, dude, but at least fucking jump into it.
I mean, you're an actor, right?
Well,
Are you
I
an
mean-
actor? Are you an actor?
I recently found episodes on YouTube and watched them, and there was legitimately some scenes where he's walking up and down on the side of the building, and it clearly really is. It's on the floor and the camera's tilted like this at a 90-degree angle.
Kind of like the Batman, Adam West.
Batman 60.
Exactly, absolutely
But that's
like that.
supposed to be that way.
The camp, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think Spider-Man was going
trying
for
to
that
do that
vibe.
because they were trying to do the Hulk, the David,
And by
It was,
then, I think
it
I
was
was
the
like
same
10.
production
So
company,
I
I
was
Lou
think.
Ferrigno
sophisticated.
thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was like 77, 78, something.
Mid to late 70s,
Something
yeah.
like that,
Yeah, jeez.
And
Ferrigno had 24-inch arms.
Yeah, that's pretty
he's a big dude. Yeah, I saw him
What
at
the
SummerCon
fuck?
like 3
Yeah.
years ago.
Oh, yeah, he was just a side of beef.
Yeah, you put his two biceps together, it makes my waist.
I know, just
Right.
just a slab of beef.
I actually one of the comic dads, Tommy Rice.
Oh, yeah.
He's a big dude.
He's a
and
big dude.
and he dwarfed Lou Ferrigno. Lou Ferrigno looked like me compared to like
Well,
Tommy.
yeah.
Isn't Lou and Schwarzenegger about the same size? They competed at the same
for
time,
I
right?
think-
Years and years and
Yeah.
years. Oh,
I think
yeah.
Schwarzenegger's taller.
And Schwarzenegger's
okay.
arms weren't as big at the time.
Yeah.
But and I mean, it takes 8 to 12,000 calories a day to
maintain that. It's
Oh
nuts.
yeah, no, it's and hours and hours and hours. It's like, and when you're 65 or 70 or however old Lou is, it's like he's not doing that.
No.
He's living his life.
I mean,
It's like a grandkid.
To be fair, Schwarzenegger doesn't look that big anymore either.
No, it takes a lot
Absolutely
now.
not.
It
Yeah.
takes a lot.
Although Stallone does
It's
look like
really
he's
hard.
been doing roids or something because he's still pretty swole.
Yeah.
But he's also like 5'5". He is a tiny dude.
And he never had the mass that those guys had. He's always been in
he
good
had the
shape.
cut.
But he's been cut. But
he was
yeah.
big, but keep in mind he's like Gimli. He's as big as he is. He's as tall as he is wide.
Sure, but and we're totally off topic here. But Franco
fine.
Colombo, you guys familiar with Franco Colombo? Because he was one of the heavyweight bodybuilders. He was one of the one weight class down, and so he's like that same size, where he's 5'4", 5'5", or something. But the bro is ripped and massive.
Yeah,
right. But
and
it's
that's
like,
how I always. I mean, Schwarzenegger Stallone has some bulk, but he's not bulk like Ferrigno or Schwarzenegger.
No, I don't
he
think-
just got
yeah,
the
yeah.
muscle definition.
Yeah. Because like in, but
I mean, he's
even in the Rocky movies or Rambo or whatever.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and now he's an adult. You know what I mean? Because he was
Yeah.
a youth back then.
Yeah,
That guy's still working, man.
Meanwhile, back at the podcast.
I just remember in Rambo when he's tying that
Oh,
headband
so good.
on and
Just
his
full
back
legs.
is just
Yeah.
like, oh my god. Yeah, I want
well,
that.
keep in
back.
mind his shoulders are like this.
Right,
And he's
I
like
got
this
you.
tall.
Yeah,
He's tiny.
I gotta work twice as hard, Stallone.
But,
boys, the Archie show, 68 to
Oh,
69,
yeah.
based on the old comic
Sure.
stuff.
It's still going.
And the Archies actually had like a #1 hit or two.
Sugar.
Yeah, sugar.
So good.
honey.
Yeah, and those probably the real singers never got any kind of
No,
recognition.
man, yeah. They
Probably got like
$8.
$100.
I mean, it was during the same time period as the Monkees, so
We got-
that's the same style of music they were doing.
$8 and a steak dinner.
It is. It's just a genetically engineered pop song. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
There's a Indian movie based on the Archies, but it's like all. I think it's in English or it's subtitled in English, but it's like the Archie story, but they're all East Indian.
Geez, everybody remembers this because I know it was a syndication forever, but Wacky Races.
That's actually one of my. Yeah, with Muttley.
Yeah.
And
So good. 68 to
Dick
69.
Dick Dastardly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
so good.
Yes, so good.
It was more of a hissy kind of but a very raspy laugh. But yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to do. Because you're,
A little bit of that in there, along with the breathy laugh too.
The Pink Panther show ran from 69 to 78, almost included it in the 70s.
Yeah, was
one.
there no dialogue in that show?
There was, but it was usually other characters who spoke. He never said.
He never
it.
spoke.
Yeah.
What did he? I mean, what was the? I remember watching it, but I don't remember any like storyline. Or
It was very similar to like Bugs Bunny stuff.
Was he stealing stuff? Was he like a cat burglar or something?
No, he was just doing his daily thing, and someone was always chasing around after him.
Oh,
So.
Okay, just
But it was-
weird stuff.
Shenanigans.
Inspector Clouseau was always chasing after him.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
if you guys have never seen the original Pink Panther cartoons, they are available to watch on Amazon because MGM owns the Pink Panther.
Yeah. All right.
And it is a live streaming channel. You can watch all the episodes. You just leave it on there and it'll play all day with Pink Panther.
And how many years is that? Jeez.
69 to 78.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of years. Almost
That
10
surprises
years.
me.
Yeah. It was probably cheap to produce.
Hey, what
and-
about Magoo?
I couldn't include them all, Mike.
Yeah.
Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo, I think,
Oh
was
my
on
God.
the same animation as Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Probably.
I think it was
Just the
Yeah.
thick glass. It's just the
So good.
the misunderstandings because he couldn't see anything, right?
Yeah.
weird,
They wouldn't be
hijinks.
able to do that because that would be like ableism.
Oh, today.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do
I think it's just a Zen thing.
Yeah.
He just does, right? Because, like, weird elevator doors open. He can fall to his death, but he doesn't. He just
It was
times
like
everything
it was like slapstick
perfectly.
at the expense of a guy who could barely see.
Yeah.
But
Reminds me of the Twilight Zone with Meredith.
Oh, yeah.
Burgess Meredith.
That's
Burgess
just tragic,
Meredith,
though.
yeah.
Because he doesn't really have that coming.
No,
At all.
no,
That's
no,
not
no.
any type of
He
justice.
just
It's
wanted
just
to.
tragic.
It's just tragedy. Man.
Oh, that's a good one.
That is a
Everybody
good one.
remembers that.
Yeah. And then probably the number one cartoon to come out of, the biggest thing to come out of cartoons of the 60s was Scooby-Doo, Where Are You?
Yes.
I mean, is there any other Saturday morning cartoon that has just such a run?
Let me ask you this: how many of the cartoons from the '60s still makes those cartoons?
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo is the only one from the '60s that is still making new ones. And Frank Welker has been Fred since 1969. He's only not been Fred in like 3 of the however many, like 13 different shows of Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
Wow.
So many different shows, and then games
The
and
movies, yeah.
merch, the live action
Oh,
movies.
Yeah.
Just massive.
In fact-
until they got scrappy.
Yeah,
I mean-
yeah. Ah,
That's a
scratch.
Scooby-Doo. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, man, Don Messick, he was awesome. He was both Scooby and Scrappy, as well as he was Papa Smurf and a bunch of other stuff too.
Jeez, get your timing fixed, people. Boys, if the 60s era was sort of defined by superheroes and, recycled stuff, the 70s era came with a wave of animated versions of popular live-action primetime series with the voices of original casts, as well as combining, because of the success of Scooby-Doo, as well as shows combining teenagers with a talking animal.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the two things in the 70s
They were
era.
trying to recapture the Scooby-Doo vibe with other shows.
Yeah, so you had like what was the shark one?
That was
Slabberslaw. or-
Yeah, Jabberjaw.
Jabberjaw. And
Jabberjaw.
that was also Frank Welker. He was basically doing Curly from the Three Stooges. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah, so big on that.
Respect.
Man.
No respect. Yeah.
And then so many, popular live primetime shows. They had like Laverne and Shirley. They had Happy Days. They
all had cartoons
They all
in
had
the 80s.
yes,
I
they all
didn't
had
know that.
cartoons.
Well, those didn't get cartoons, I think, until like the late 70s, early 80s, though.
Well, voiced by the same.
Voiced by the same
Some of them.
actors.
Well, that's something, yeah.
Some of them. I think there was, I don't believe Henry Winkler did the Fonz's voice in the cartoon for the Fonz, but other characters reprised
And that's just
their
so
role.
they can sell more merch? Why are they doing
It's
double
cheap
duty?
to produce.
And it's aimed towards kids. Is there a kid-friendly version of an adult show?
And I bet you could get, Richie Cunningham to come down, or Joni or Chachi or something to come down on a Monday, record for 4 hours, get 3 or 5 shows done
Yeah.
in recording for his
Yeah,
voice.
Because back then, the episodes were 10, 12 minutes at a time.
Maybe, yeah, because you had commercials and stuff, right?
I mean, there was also segments of other shows.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Because a lot of the cartoons I remember, and I went back and watched them again. They're only 12, 15 minutes long. I'm like, how? I remember them being much longer, but I guess those were segments, and they had different segments to do the whole half hour.
To fill the whole half hour.
Yeah, who was Chachi? Was Chachi Fonz's nephew
Cousin.
or something? Cousin.
His cousin.
Yeah.
His sister's kid or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geez, so coming out of the 70s, boys, Josie and the Pussycats.
I remember that.
Basically,
Josie and the Pussycat.
kind of an Archie's
Yeah, Archie.
meet
they're-
Scooby-Doo,
it's the
right?
same universe. I mean,
Yeah,
Archie,
I think it is, yeah. Just like
Josie-
Betty and Veronica and Riverdale. And
Yeah.
Actually, in the Riverdale TV series, Josie and the Pussycats was in the first 2 seasons.
Oh, man, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Geez, coming in 1970, only 16 episodes, but the Groovy Ghoulies.
I have those as well.
Nice. I don't remember the show. I remember the show existing.
Yeah.
But I feel like I either had, a comic book or some
It
kind of...
had Larry Storch as the Wolfman.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it was basically
Great band from
Dracula,
Sacramento. Great
Frankenstein,
band.
It was
Yeah.
Dr. Jekyll.
Were they crime solvers? What were they? Or they were a band?
No, I think they were a band.
They were
but
a band,
They
but-
all lived in a big house,
They
right?
lived in Drax Castle.
Okay,
Nice.
and then they just had weird adventures.
Yeah, and it was all
Castle.
it was all the Universal monsters.
But it always ended on a musical number.
Yeah, it was like every cartoon back in those days. It all ended with a music video.
Yeah, because you can buy records.
Yeah.
Somebody out there's got an old cartoon Groovy Ghoulies record. You, my friend, bought me a Sacramento Groovy Ghoulies.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Boys, the Funky Phantom, 71 to 72.
What?
I remember that.
I don't
Never heard
remember
of
that
that
one
by
at
the
It
all.
was the spirit of 1776.
Oh, that guy. Yes, I know
No way.
exactly who you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
about.
That was a
And
good
it was-
job.
And it was the voice was dude from Mary Poppins and
Dick Van Dyke?
no, remember the God damn, I can't think of his name. He was in the Mary Poppins movie where they're floating in the room, and he's also like the Mad Hatter in what is his name? I'm gonna have to look it up because I can't fucking remember.
I don't
his name.
know. Jeez, good
But
job,
he-
Todd.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Funky
Phantom.
Phantom.
I do remember him now. He was like a ghost dude.
Jeez, no, I don't
like a
remember that. But
revolutionary ghost.
Huh? But I loved your version of the voice. That was great.
We'll do a Funky Phantoms radio parody here someday.
Funky Phantom. I love it.
Maybe it wasn't him.
Just the fact they put the word funky.
Funky. Yeah.
It was Dawes Butler that did it, I think. But it was an impression of somebody else.
Another show, Speed Buggy, 72 to 83. What I remember is the buggy was personified, right? It was a live buggy.
Ed Wynn was the voice that I'm thinking of. Ed Wynn is the actor.
The Funky Phantom?
Yeah, and that he is meant to sound like Ed Wynn.
Oh, sure.
Who was the Mad Hatter in Snow White, or not Snow White, Alice in Wonderland. And he had that very distinct voice, and he always had a bit of a lisp.
Oh, yeah.
And he also kind of
This is the Disney Alice in Wonderland.
the
you're talking
Disney
about.
Alice in Wonderland. Ed Wynn.
Yeah, no, he was a radio guy.
And he was a
yeah.
vaudevillian too,
Yeah.
I think. That guy, the black and white picture.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's Ed Wynn.
Who he is also on a Twilight Zone with
Yes.
the grandfather clock.
Yes.
That he can't allow it to stop ticking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, jeez.
Ed Wynn.
But Speed Buggy was kind of like Scooby-Doo, but instead of
with
a
a
dog,
car,
it was
yeah.
a car.
It was a
Who
dune
can
buggy.
tiptoe?
It was like a 70s or 60s, 70s era dune buggy that
Yes.
and then Sid and Marty Krofft did a similar show called Wonder Bug. It was a part of the the Sid and Marty Krofft Wonder Hour.
Geez, remember America was in a place where we embraced dune buggies?
It was a big thing. It was
Yeah.
almost like vans.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, that was all the same culture even.
yes, with the
They
with the
did-
little like your black van,
Yeah.
like with the little
Anybody
half
wanna
moon,
buy that thing?
crescent moon window in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
So good.
The free candy
Yeah.
band.
Jeez. 1974 boys brought us Hong Kong Phooey.
Oh, man.
Number
Was just
one
a
super
scat
guy
man.
or something.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, Kung Fu Janitor. That was me for years of my life.
Scatman Crothers, man.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yes.
And
That makes sense.
Scatman Crothers, he did Hong Kong Phooey, then he was Jazz on Transformers.
Okay.
Oh, sure he was. And also he was in Chico and the Man and The Shining.
The Shining, yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
no,
say.
he's great.
Yeah.
And I find it hard to believe he's not probably a Tony Award nominee.
You got to think so.
I would think, because he's a stage guy. Yeah, so.
Jeez. Here's one of the ones that we talked about taking a prime time live action show, but Star Trek, the animated series, showed up in 1974.
So good. I used to buy the books that were the written out
Version of the episode.
Yeah.
A lot of people love those episodes. A lot of Star Trek fans are like, nope, that doesn't exist. It's
not
part. It's
canon.
not canon.
Yeah.
But apparently a lot, and I've seen a few of the
Yeah,
episodes.
Jim and I watched them.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Had them on the DVD.
That they were actually really
technology.
good.
Yeah. And
So-
their Funimation, when they run, they kind of run right at the camera.
Yeah,
It's really cool. And plus, there's a cat species, which I can't remember right now, but was also a separate set of books for a long-running sci-fi series, and they do crossover.
They brought back that cat species in Lower Decks.
In one more time?
Lower Decks.
Oh, in Lower Decks.
Oh, the TV show, yeah.
What's the name of that species? I forgot now.
It's in the show, but I don't remember.
Yeah. No, so that's neat.
Bontons. It was Bontons.
Yeah.
But one thing I remember from that show is that I remember they had like the spacesuit things, but instead of drawing out the entire technically advanced,
Just like a bubble or whatever.
they did like a halo effect around them. They had a little button. They push it.
Yeah.
They started.
You show your little
Cheaper
atmosphere.
animation.
They're like,
Yeah.
We didn't want to draw out these spacesuits, so we just made them glow.
Nice.
So they had 22 episodes. Most of the entire cast from the live action show voiced their character on the
that's nice.
animated.
I think
Yeah, what year was that?
I think it was everybody but Shatner.
74. I was going to say, I bet you it was Shatner that didn't show up.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm positive it was, at the very least, it had Jimmy Doohan, George Takei, and Leonard Nimoy were all like recurring characters or the original actors, but I think Shatner was probably like, no, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did Star Trek, the original series, end?
A few years before
Just a
that.
couple years before,
Because
is
it
that
only
right?
ran for 3 seasons.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
68 to
69,
71?
71?
Something like that?
So
Yeah.
I think it stopped in 69, 68. Because it ran from 66 to wherever.
Oh, geez, that is
No,
early.
I thought it was
Yeah.
later than that. A little bit later.
I mean, you got to keep in mind it's 3 seasons. That doesn't necessarily mean 3 years. So I mean, it's what 26 episodes per season,
Yeah, I don't know.
if that.
Yeah.
All I know is he got to make out with Uhura, dude.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I don't know much, but I know that.
I don't know much,
I do remember seeing an
but I
interview
want to
with,
kiss Uhura.
Yes.
with Nichelle Nichols. She actually did an interview for the Sci-Fi Museum at the EMP 15 years ago, where she said that William Shatner kept screwing up that recording because they got the kiss, and the censors they had notes say, hey, you can't have him kiss her because the people
Yeah, because
it was
so
60s.
good.
And they're
Yeah.
like, they're not going to want to see that. And he purposely kept screwing up his lines or like looking directly at the camera, and
Yeah. So he could keep kissing her?
They would have to use the one where he kissed her.
Oh. Yeah.
It's like that was the one.
Oh, geez, well, good on him.
That
then,
was the one
right?
good shot they had.
Yeah.
Wonder how many southern TV stations
Just
skipped
lost their
that
fucking
episode.
minds.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So weird.
two
So
humans
weird.
kissing.
Yeah.
Kissing up black girl.
Yeah. If anything, it should be like she's way out of his league.
Did Nichelle? Did she pass recently? Why do I have it in my head that she passed?
I mean, either right before or right after the pandemic.
Okay. Because George Takei is still alive.
I think George might be the last.
George is still alive, and the guy who played Chekhov is still alive.
Oh, that's right, and Shatner still.
And
Shatner.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, he'll live till,
Yeah, he's writing another tech war book or something.
He's almost 100 years old, I think. He's in his mid to late 90s.
Yeah, no, he went into space, though. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Or a giant
Good
penis.
for him. That tracks.
I like Shatner.
We talked about this.
I don't.
We talked about this already, but Jabberjaw, 76 to 78, is kind of the Jaws version of Scooby Doo.
It was basically the formula of Scooby Doo with other people
that could walk on land.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask. He can breathe like air.
He can breathe like air.
I mean, it is the 70s. It is cartoons, so the real world physics don't work in cartoons. I mean, that was always in like the Roadrunner cartoon.
Was he a scaredy cat like Scooby and Shaggy?
He was. Yeah. I have those episodes as well if you want to watch them.
Nice. So. I didn't know about this one, but I thought it was sort of fascinating. Jana of the Jungle came out in 76. It was a Tarzan ripoff. I think Tarzan was Hanna-Barbera, and somebody else like, hey, well, let's cash in on the jungle. So 13 episodes. She was a girl that got lost in the Amazon jungle.
Oh, man.
Was joined by Dr. Ben Cooper, a scientist helping her search for her father, Montaro, an indigenous warrior with a magical staff, and Ghost, her faithful albino jaguar.
That's cool.
And they're cruising around the Amazon.
Jeez.
I sort of remember an albino jaguar, though.
I don't, but I'm
sort of intrigued now.
Yes.
So blonde lady
Jana
running around.
Jana
of the Jungle.
There you go.
Yeah. Who's that? That's Jana?
That's Jana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, well, that almost looks like a Frazetta.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I mean...
Yeah, what's the doctor wearing? How come she's in like a loin thing, but I bet he's wearing a suit and a fucking pithy cap.
Yeah.
We can't get you any real clothes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, do you remember Godzilla and Son?
No, I don't. Well, I know of it, but I never did see it.
No.
Is that a 70s one?
It was like mid to late 70s. It was right at the height of Godzilla coming to the States.
And then sort of rounding out the 70s, and there were so many more cartoons, but we could spend, 4 shows just talking about each of the 70s shows. The Super Friends came out 73, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 iterations of it, all the way up to 85.
Yep. I have all of that.
The Super Friends, 73. The all-new Super Friends Hour, 77. The World's Greatest Super Friends, 79. Just, again, Super Friends, 80 to 83. Super Friends, The Legendary Superpowers Show, 84. And then the Superpowers Team Galactic Guardians.
I don't remember any of that stuff.
The first Super Galactic one, the first one of those two, was the one that introduced Firestorm, I think.
Oh.
And I think that was created by the show.
And that was the jump to
when
shark.
did
Firestorm?
Firestorm is the 2 dudes who become one.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah, that could very well be. That sounds
I think that was like a creation of that show.
Firestorm, the nuclear man.
Yeah.
That's his tag.
And the thing is his powers was the ability to like manipulate matter, so he could turn anything into something else.
Yeah. My memories of Super Friends is mostly, and it was cool because you're a kid and you're watching your favorite superheroes and all that, but the ones that stood out to me was the Wonder Twins, of course. We kind of joked about them already, but also that they had to find something for Aquaman to do in almost every episode, especially in the early ones. Like, wait a minute, we got to be near water.
Blow up a dam.
It was like in the beginning of every episode. In this episode, we're going to see Aquaman Aquaman doing this, this, and this, and we're going to see the Wonder Twins doing this.
Yeah.
And it was always like, hey, Aquaman, you can totally help us by going into the water and getting that thing. And
Yeah, I pretty much Green Lantern.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like the 90s when they turned Aquaman into like this total badass.
Yeah, so in the Super Friends cartoon, he could breathe underwater, he could talk to fish, and that was about it, right? I mean, was that the extent of his power?
Isn't that enough
I mean,
for
he could
you?
fight, but he didn't have like super, like the Jason Momoa Aquaman's.
It has super strength.
It has super
etc., and
strength.
durability.
I think that's the one that's derived from the 90s version, because the 90s version, he was basically a pirate.
Oh.
He had a hook for a hand.
It was kind of a spear thing.
Oh, I mean, it was a spear, but it was put into
Sure.
as a hook.
He's a tough sell. He is.
And he had like a mullet, and he was pissed off at the
He had a
world.
goatee too, I
He
think.
did. He had a fucking goatee. He was
Oh
just
my
like
God, he turned,
Who was first, Namor or
Namor was.
Yeah, it goes
Namor
way
was.
back, way back. yeah.
Namor beats him by like 2 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Namor was like the
king.
the king of
Yeah,
Atlantis.
I think
and
Prince
stuff.
of Atlantis.
Or
yeah.
Prince of
Yeah.
Atlantis.
And
So it's
Arthur
more
Curry.
tension that way.
Arthur Curry at some point becomes the king of Atlantis in the lore or whatever.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, okay.
But I think when he was just before he got like a backstory, I think I don't know. I only watched the
Wait, is
cartoon.
Namor Marvel?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because he was an Avenger for a while in the comics.
Yeah, he started out as a bad guy, but then I think
Right.
he crosses over.
And he
But
fought Nazis
But like
and
Doctor
stuff.
Doom or whatever, it's like he's kind of got his own agenda,
If
but
you guys-
sometimes that coalesces with the good guys, right?
Did either of you guys see the second Black Panther movie? Because he's in it.
That's right.
Namor's in it.
Yeah,
He's-
That's right.
It's
He's
an
the
awful
bad guy.
film. Yeah.
Who was the bad guy in the latest Aquaman with Jason Momoa?
That was what was it? It was,
What was his name? Not the Black Mantis.
No,
or
it
whatever,
was
but,
Black Mantis was
Yeah, it
was
is
one of
Manta, yeah.
he was yeah
Well,
he
who
was
was the?
he was the main bad guy, but he was trying to find the lost tribe,
Scepter or something, yeah.
and he was going to get like the power of the lost tribe, which was like
Shit, see, I'm confusing the hell. I keep thinking Namor is in Aquaman, but that's not
No.
anywhere near. Huh? It was Black Panther.
Yeah.
because he was attacking
Yeah.
Wakanda.
Wakanda.
Yeah.
Because Wakanda, 'cause I guess the
That movie was dumb as
vibranium
fuck,
actually, I guess originally was wherever Namor, because that's what gave them the ability to breathe underwater. It was the
Well, and to inbreed and make a whole like nation of people from like six. Like 6 of them leave, right? And then the next time you see them, there's like 200,000 of them. It's like, where'd y'all come from, bro? Where'd y'all come from?
Mikey, it's a comic book character.
Yeah, but it's a movie that cost like $250 million that they should have just donated.
It's
an awful film.
still a science fiction comic book movie.
Yeah, sure. I read a lot of comics, and some are good and some are bad.
Boys, if the 70s era was the teenage kids with an animal mystery hour era, then the 80s would be defined as the commercialism era. Right.
Everything was a lesson to be learned, and I learned something today.
Or it was a tie-in for a
toy. Yeah.
Right?
Well, Transformers, G.I. Joe, all were selling toys. Silverhawks and Thundercats were all selling toys as well. And yeah.
Geez, so Smurfs came out 1981 to 1990.
Yeah.
And we already mentioned, I think, our Smurfmas coming up in December soon. We'll give you more details on that when it comes out. But He-Man in the Masters Universe, I just feel like I think I was a little too old at that point to get into He-Man, but my mom ran a daycare, and she hired me for like $1 an hour to go just kind of hang out with the kids in the afternoon after school. So I would go down and read them books and stuff, and those kids all had like He-Man toys.
I'm your age, and I did like He-Man. I was into it.
Not saying I didn't watch it.
No,
I just don't think I was that into it.
I did have a handful of the toys. I had one of the vehicles, and I had He-Man, and I think Skeletor, and I think 1 or 2 of the other characters. I didn't have a lot of it, but I remember loving the show, watching it like every day after school, and I'd watch it right after I'd watch Transformers and G.I. Joe.
Was that a 5-day-a-week show?
I think it's once or twice, maybe 5 days. I don't remember.
Oh, I think at some point they went into syndication in the
I think it originally
market.
started.
Was that a Saturday morning cartoon to begin with?
No.
Oh, was it?
It was a after school show.
Okay.
I don't ever remember watching on Saturday.
Yeah, if you asked me when He-Man came out, I would have said more middle 80s. I would have said like 85 to 87.
It was like 85 to 87.
Well, it was 83 on here.
really?
They said 83 to 85.
So it may have come out like they may have come out like right before Transformers then, because I remember watching G.I. Joe and I remember watching He-Man. So
It was only 2 seasons? Does that sound right?
yeah,
Yeah. And then they had She-Ra, which was his cousin or
his twin sister.
twin sister.
Ah.
Yeah, and she had her own.
She was kidnapped
world.
by like a contemporary of Skeletors, and they took her to another planet, another dimension even, and
It wasn't Eternia.
no, Eternia is where He-Man is. And so she was kidnapped and taken to another planet, and she became like the stepdaughter, or she was, in her mind, Hordak was his name.
The bad guy.
He was the bad guy, and he was.
I can picture him.
He was, he looked like a weird like fish skeleton thing.
Yeah.
But he was basically her dad. You know, she saw him as a father figure, and I remember watching that too, thinking, oh, this is kind of cool. It's a little different from He-Man, but it's still cool.
It didn't like in He-Man. There was no other characters except the ones that would fight. There was no other like people of the town or
whatever,
farmers or anything.
There was, but
Did you see them?
You never saw them as toys.
Right, sure. Did they show up in the?
Yeah, I mean, there was people that he would have to save from Skeletor, and it wasn't because there was a few episodes where it's always like either it was Orko or Tila who gets kidnapped or gets hurt or has to be saved, or maybe it's even the sorceress who gets captured or whatever. So the people in the core group often have to be saved by He-Man, but a lot of times there was also people around the planet that needed help or whatever, and he'd go and
And is the rumor that they tried to make toys based on Conan the Barbarian
That's not a
or
rumor.
something?
That's not a rumor. That's if you ever watched the Toys That Made Us, they had an episode of He-Man, and originally they wanted to get the rights to Conan the Barbarian and to make toys out of. And I think the TV show came later as a way to market the toys.
Right.
But they couldn't get the rights to Conan, so they decided to create their own versions. And some of the names they came up with, I'm glad they never used. Because, I mean, they tell you the names, and like, yeah, I'm glad we never used that kind of thing. There's some really... And there's a couple that were like,
Ram Man.
No, there was...
That was approved.
Merman was originally going to be Seaman.
No.
Nice.
I'm not even kidding. And someone goes, yeah, no, we can't call him that.
So
I'm
good.
surprised they even
Can you
bothered.
imagine a bunch of little 8-year-olds going, I get you, Seaman? Because everything had to sound like He-Man.
I know.
It was like a rhyming scheme that they had to have.
Nice. Yeah, like Tila's the only one that didn't have like a name that represented what she did, right?
Yeah.
It's like Ram Man, Man at Arms.
And they were all the same. It was just the heads that were different, right?
Oh, they had different clothes, and
Yeah,
different paint schemes, but
they had like 3 or 4 different body types, but the legs and arms were all the same. They all had like the furry boots and the gauntlets on the arms.
Nice.
And then the head and the chest were the ones that had to be
a little bit different.
A little different. Well, there was He-Man, then there was a guy who was like He-Man but like opposite colors or whatever. He was basically just a repaint of He-Man. And then there was like the glow in the dark skeleton dude who wasn't Skeletor. It was the Skeletor doll but with glow in the dark paint.
Nice.
well, talking about being able to sell character after character after character, friggin' G.I. Joe had so many different heroes.
Yeah.
Right? And I know there was like the magic 6 or 8, right? There was the Duke, the Lady J, the Snake Eyes, the
Scarlet. Snow Job, which I did.
What in the?
Actually, and I asked Rob Paulson about it. I was like, did you ever think that was a dumb name for that character? He goes, yeah. But yeah, he was Rob Paulson was Snow Job as well as a bunch of other characters.
Roadblock and
it was huge. How many seasons was that?
they were on for like 3 years.
Oh, geez, it seems like a lot more than that.
But then they had like
syndication,
but then there was like a ton of like vehicles, airplanes and tanks
I had the helicopter,
all kinds of stuff.
I had the helicopter who was the G.I. Joe helicopter, which was a Cobra attack chopper, and I remember taking it to school, and I was flying it around the hallways, and I wasn't paying attention, and the blades were spinning. They were plastic blades, hard plastic with rubber tips, and I like flying around, and I smacked it into the teacher's arm. It's like, watch where you're flying. Like, it's not my fault you walked into it, you know. So, yeah.
I would have got slapped by a nun.
I almost got slapped because I was like, it's not my fault you walked into it.
But that was the one that I really remember doing the we already talked about a lot about this, but the educational thing at the end. And now you know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe.
And that was one, it was like A-Team where nobody got hurt, nobody ever died.
Sure.
Cobra Commander.
Always escapes.
It's
right?
kind of like a Trump thing, right? How does anybody follow this guy, right? I mean, he never wins.
And what's funny with Cobra Commander, because I loved that show. I watched it every week. When they brought in Serpentor, who was like this...
they took all the DNA.
The DNA from like the greatest...
like Napoleon and like, Hannibal and...
all these different characters, and they made Serpentor, and he just absolutely cannot stand how inept, how stupid Cobra Commander was.
Yes.
Like, you are basically, I mean, and not in so many words, called him a fucking idiot every episode.
Right.
You know, and
but how does anybody follow the dude?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but I wanted to take Baroness out for a couple of,
I actually, when I started going to like Comic Cons and stuff, I would frequently find a woman dressed up as Baroness. And, can I get a picture with you, please?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, dude, come on. I'm like, yeah.
Those glasses, that librarian, that evil librarian.
Nice.
It's like,
It was more about for me, it was more about the skin tight pleather.
I mean, that doesn't hurt, right? Jeez.
But G.I. Joe was huge for me. In fact, Emilio is a massive G.I. Joe fan. The first time I went to his house, he had a whole room that was all G.I. Joe figures. And he had flag. He had the aircraft carrier. It was sitting in the middle of the room. And go, that thing is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. Because I remember seeing advertisements.
It's like one of the biggest toys that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, back then, I think it was like $300 to buy that back then.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, how many of those they make, right? And they had to make the molds for it.
It was
stickers.
It was cardboard and plastic.
It really was?
Oh. I didn't know there was any cardboard on it.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a lot of cardboard and plastic, and it was like the I think the deck was plastic, but like the fuselage was a lot of cardboard, and pieces on top were all plastic, and I think there was like a support structure inside that was plastic, but like I think the outer, like the hull of the boat was cardboard.
Yeah.
That's how they made Noah's Ark. Not many people know that.
Not to get off topic, but did you hear about that tropical storm that blew through like southern United States and destroyed most of Florida? Also destroyed the Creation Museum.
Oh, how dare they!
The replica of the Ark was destroyed.
Wow.
From the
Jeez.
Hurricane.
Wasn't even 40 days or 40 nights.
That was 1
Shoddy
hour.
workmanship.
Came through.
Yeah, I saw that and I laughed hard. Anyways, back to the G.I. Joe cartoons.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't have much more on G.I. Joe. It just always struck me as
Man,
there
it's
was one meme I saw recently where it's got Cobra Commander. He's wearing the shiny helmet, the shiny face mask
the
helmet,
weird face.
and he's got like a fedora and a like a overcoat with the collar popped up, and he says the fact that he could go incognito.
That's actually, that image, that is from when he shows up on Transformers.
No.
Oh, geez.
You don't call him Cobra Commander, but it's definitely him.
But it's him.
Yeah, and it's Chris Collins who does the voice. He's also the voice of Starscream.
Of course.
It's the same
he is.
voice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man. Let's jump into a little Transformers. Came out in 84 to 87. Again, a
The movie
huge
came out in
toy.
86. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But also innovative in this case. So the G.I.
Yes.
Joe stuff is cool, but I don't
Toy
think
soldiers.
But Transformers were innovative, and they
Yeah.
just changed the game.
Again, you have to watch that the Toys That Made Us. The episode for Transformers explains how they got all these toys from Japan over here. Before they came to the States, they did not have a backstory. They did not have cool names. They had item numbers as names, like DC-01.
Oh, geez. I was going to say like Silver Jet, Blue Car.
They did. They had those too, but Megatron was like it was like. I can't remember the exact, but it was like DC-01 or 02 or something like that, and he was a German pistol, is what it was.
Yeah, Megatron was transformed into a gun.
He did, yeah.
Yeah.
And back in the 80s, there was a lot of mass shifting because he would go from being a 30-foot robot to being
a handgun.
to being a handgun
That another Decepticon could hold,
or
right?
human.
Yes.
Or human. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the episode that had Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander had Megatron on his holster.
Nice.
It was either the cartoon or it was in the comics that oh god, there's a whole series of Transformer versus G.I. Joe where Cobra finds the Ark before they're reactivated and turned all of them into like his tanks and other vehicles. And Optimus Prime was like a Crimson Hiss. So it was a red Hiss tank.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Man. Transformers always sort of playing with those kids that I used to babysit for and trying to transform their things. I could never
I still
get it
love
right.
that shit. I absolutely love it.
Oh, no, they're amazing. And the new, I guess not new, but kids wearing like transforming Halloween costumes.
Yeah, that's
really neat.
That's relatively new. Since 2007, when the first Michael Bay movie first came out,
sure.
that's when you started seeing people with transforming costumes.
Yeah, it's just
where
nuts.
people would paint some cardboard boxes and make a car.
Be able to
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
fold down into themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Jeez.
Yeah, but all those toys have to have engineers who make the mold for that plastic. I mean, it's a lot of fucking work to get that whole thing going. It's terribly expensive.
Yeah.
I recently rewatched that episode of The Toys That Made Us, and there was a time in like the late 80s, early 90s where they said, we don't need your help to design these toys anymore. We got this. And that was the era of Generation 2 Transformers, which was basically just cheap plastic remakes of the first generation toys.
Oh, where they didn't have the intricate.
They didn't have the rubber tires. They didn't have the die-cast parts. It was all plastic. It was like play school plastic too. It was not great. And I remember those going, these are just remakes of older toys. These are terrible.
Cheaper. Yeah.
Way cheaper, and they're selling them for the same price.
Bummer. Oh.
And the cartoons were basically, they took the original series and added CGI, like the sequences between the commercials and the cartoon, where the Transformer would come in, they would transform, and then the logo would appear. They changed those out. They took those out and replaced them with like this computer generated
Really
kind of
bad
thing.
CGI.
Yeah, it was really terrible. Like early 90s CGI, it was terrible.
Man.
Was Transformers and G.I. Joe the same production company?
It was Hasbro and Sunbow, I think.
All right.
Sunbow sounds
Because they seem
familiar, yeah.
similar anyway.
Yeah, and they were made. I'm positive they were made here in the States, but then they had like some production overseas that helped, like with the animation, because there was a lot to be done. But I think for the most part, it was done here in the States. I remember having arguments with people about how they thought Transformers were anime. It's like, no, they were never made in Japan. They were made here. They were produced here. They may have been like outsourcing some of the animation overseas, but it wasn't a overseas production.
No, and it's a different vibe altogether.
Yeah,
Did GoBots ever have a cartoon?
they did. In fact, it came out a year before Transformers.
Oh, really? It just didn't take off.
82. It ran for, I think, 2 seasons.
Oh.
So it ran side by side with Transformers. I remember watching both. And I remember thinking Transformers had the cooler toys. And the GoBots were basically as Kevin Smith said in Clerks 2, the Kmart of Transformers. You know, it was like the cheaper toy that was. Transformers was Hasbro and Takara Tomy, and GoBots was Tonka and what was the other Japanese company? Either way, it was another company that made transforming toys over in Japan, and they brought them over to the States before Hasbro was able to get Transformers over here. And Hasbro hired some writers at Marvel to create the character names and the backstories. And
all right.
And
For GoBots they did?
no, for Transformers.
Oh, for
Transformers.
Yeah.
And Hanna-Barbera created the storyline and the character names for all the toys for GoBots.
Fred, Wilma, Betty, Barney.
What's funny is Frank
Wait a minute.
Frank Welker did voices for both series.
Jeez.
Oh, really?
Frank was
A busy dude.
he's got over 1,000 credits to his name, and a lot of it's just sound effects. But he was Megatron, Soundwave, and like 3 or 4 other Transformers.
Oh, man.
But on GoBots, he was a little scooter guy, and he kind of had this kind of voice, you know.
Soundwave was the what was the tape deck guy?
That was Blaster, and that was
Not Blaster, the guy that
Buster.
had the...
That had the tape deck.
Yes.
I mean,
And he would turn into a little bird, right? Or a
No,
little-
he would spit out like there was Rumble, there was he had like dogs and birds.
Ravage was like the panther, and that was Soundwave. He was a tape deck.
Soundwave, yes.
And then right before the movie in '86, Blaster was introduced as the Autobots equivalent to Soundwave. He was a boombox that had tape on it.
Yeah.
And he was voiced by the same guy who did Winston Zeddemore on the real Ghostbusters. His name was Buster Jones, I think. But he was an African American actor who sounded like he was really cool. And his tapes, he had like a lion. He had a couple robot dudes like Rumble and Frenzy, and I think he had I don't think he had a bird. I think he had another thing that
Yeah, Night Scream or something. Yeah.
But yeah, the Soundwave had Ravage, who was the cat, the black cat, and there was Laserbeak was like
Laserbeak.
yeah.
Yeah.
Laserbeak was the red one, and Buzzsaw was the yellow one, which you never saw him in the cartoons. He was just a toy. And there was a bunch of others.
mean,
And
that's
then in the
a
movie,
lot.
they introduced a bat. It was called Rat Bat, and he was a little purple tape that came out. But yeah.
Geez, get all your Transformer information. Todd is an expert.
I'm legitimately a Generation 1 Transformers nerd.
Yeah, big time.
I have all the information. It was a huge hyper focus for me when the internet and IMDb was a thing, because I was like, I had to find out all the information I could about that show, because it was hands down my favorite show from childhood.
Jeez, that's
And
great.
Frank Welker is also like a huge hyper focus of mine. The voice he did for Soundwave is the same voice he did for Dr. Claw.
Who's
growling.
Dr. Claw?
Inspector
Gadget.
Oh.
Or the
Which is on my list.
Cave of Wonder in Aladdin, same voice. I became friends with his webmaster in the early 2000s because I was obsessed. And she forwarded an email to him for me. I asked him how did they come up with that character voice? Where are the origins of that character? He says that his Soundwave voice started as a Barry White impression.
Nice.
And they added like a mechanical flange sound to give it that like robotic sound.
So good.
So you think of I'll get you, gadget, and they just added that kind of robotic sound to make it sound like this, Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, any questions on Transformers? Let us know. Make
I'm
a
your guy.
comment.
Yeah.
Todd will hook you up with the answer.
Yeah.
In the 80s, too, man, we just talked about Inspector Gadget. That was 83 to 86.
It was basically Get Smart with tools.
Yeah, the guy could he could pull out the helicopter, but it was his daughter Penny, which would have been the female Get Smart agent that always pulled his ass. 99. Always pulled his ass out of the fire, right? And the dog.
The great thing about the voice of Penny is Cree Summer. And if you ever watched, remember that spin-off of the Cosby Show that was all about the college kid?
Mm-hmm, different world.
Yeah, she was the cute little one that had the raspy voice.
No.
I can't remember the character name, but that was her.
Oh, okay.
Who was in this Cosby spin-off Different World? Never heard of
Lisa
that in my
Bonet
life.
spun off.
That's what I was
but she was
hoping you
only
would
in it
say.
for like a season or something.
Like not even a full season.
Not even a full season. It was supposed to be her because they wanted to get her.
vehicle,
Yeah.
She wanted to go to it was her going to college is what it was. Yeah.
And it ran for 4 or 5 seasons, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Different world.
They actually just had like a reunion on I think it's Abbott Elementary Abbott or
Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, that's it. And Cree Summer is a new character on the show, and then one or two of the other people from the original A Different World is also like a reoccurring character on that show now.
Alvin and the Chipmunks comes back 1983 all the way to 1990. And then Dungeons and Dragons. Do you remember?
I remember being told I'm not allowed to watch it because it's devil worship.
Yeah,
Satan.
so good.
Satan. That was 83 to 85.
I watched literally like 2 episodes before I was banned from ever watching it, and then when I was an adult, I found it and watched it. I was like, well, I really didn't miss much.
Yeah, it's not real good.
No, they're just jumping on the bandwagon, right?
It had it had some famous actors in it. I think it was like Danny Bonaducci was one of the people.
What?
Oh, man,
I think
well,
it
that's
was
something. I sure hope
That's
so.
interesting. Yeah, keep that boy
I have to
busy.
look. I remember.
Keep him out of off the streets.
Oh no, it was Willie Ames was in it.
No.
Willie Ames.
8
was
is
one of the,
enough.
One of the adults.
Charles in charge.
Man, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Geez, Bible Man. He was Bible Man. for a while.
Yeah.
Huh.
And he's best friends with Chachi.
Chachi, yeah. Jeez. Kind of a Smurfs ripoff, I think. I never really watched it, but the Snorks. It was like Smurfs underwater, wasn't it?
It was legitimately the same thing, but underwater.
Yeah.
And it was
they were all colorful and they had a little snorkel
What
on
in
top of their
the
head.
fuck is going on?
What's funny is
Who pitches that?
It's all the same actors too.
Oh, is it really? Made by the same. It's all Hanna.
It's Hanna-Barbera, it's the same actors.
Yeah.
They just switched up the character types.
We should have done a Snorky Snorksmas.
Oh my God, no! Please don't.
And then we go.
See, that's the highbrow stuff I'm talking about, bro.
That reminds me, the actor who plays Duke on G.I. Joe, he told a story about working with Frank Welker. He's like, they need you to do a character who's underwater. So he has a glass of water next to his, and he's like trying to do like his lines with water in his mouth. And they go, hey, okay, Frank, you do yours. He goes, he's like, really? That's all I had to do?
Nice. Muppet Babies, boys, 1984 to 1991.
Howie Mandel.
Yes.
Oh, geez.
How many did he voice on that?
He was Kermit, I think. No, Howie was Animal, and Dave Coulier was Kermit.
And this was like they were at a daycare. Oh, no, they lived in the house.
They were at a daycare.
Oh, was it a daycare? Okay.
Nanny was Mrs. Cleaver. The voice.
Oh!
Yeah.
June Billingsley.
Yeah. She played Nanny.
Barbara Billingsley.
Barbara Billingsley.
You never saw her face. You never saw above her waist. All you saw was the green and white socks.
Oh, that's cool.
And I love that show. Actually, I would love to see if I can find that now. But the original Muppet Babies, it was just them having like an imagination. They do things. There was an episode where they were in Star Wars. There was one where they were in Indiana Jones. They did a bunch of different things. And
Yeah.
and it always ended on, I learned something today. So
that is the educational stuff.
Yeah.
Voltron Boys, Defender of the Universe,
I have
84
that
and
too.
85. I always felt like the Power Rangers sort of copied their Megazord stuff from that.
both shows came out right around the same time.
Oh, was it? Okay.
In Japan.
In Japan, okay.
The stuff that became Power Rangers didn't come to America till the 90s, but it started in like the early 80s, I think. It was Super Sentai was the original show. But I think Voltron, there was a bunch of different shows in Japan that were all that 5 characters having vehicles that would combine to make a giant robot. That was not an exclusive
And then
thing.
they had like an energy sword that he would.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I had a Voltron toy.
I remember I had friends who had that toy, and I really wanted one.
But it was probably before the cartoon came out.
I actually had Takara Tomy had toys that were transforming before Transformers came to America, and it was a series of little cars like this big. They were Matchbox size, but they all combined to make this giant robot. And they also did like the lion Voltron characters too.
I'm going to blow through a few of these because we're into this episode, and I'm glad you folks are staying with us. But this is awesome stuff for us. But Mask, 85
I love
to
that show
86.
too. I
remember that
actually
at all.
have in the last 3 years I've repurchased old Mask toys that I found at cons.
Nice.
Is that the movie with Cher?
No.
No, this is
Eric Stoltz.
And Eric Stoltz?
This is about think of like G.I.
Like a
Joe,
G.I. Joe
like
type
a G.I.
thing.
Joe type thing, but instead of having just it be straight military, they're like they're all like highly educated people. They're lawyers, scientists and stuff, but they come together as this super group where they have these vehicles that would transform from like a standard, like the leader of the group had a Z28 that had glowing doors. And when
you've talked about this.
It changes and it becomes like a flying car.
It's so good.
And their masks that they put on gave them powers.
It gave them special abilities. I never had the red car when I was a kid, but that's one of the ones I recently got my hands on. I had the Bronco that turned into like a tank. I had a 57 Chevy that turned into another type of tank. And then there was a Kawasaki Ninja that turned into like a one-person helicopter.
That's cool.
And it had all kinds of really cool vehicles.
Yeah, you'll like this, Mike. They fought against Vicious Evil Network of Mayhem.
Wow.
Venom.
Or Venom.
Yeah.
Who are always trying to get rich through nefarious
Oh,
means.
do you
They
see it?
actually were trying
Where's Mask now?
In 2014, they were trying to create a Hasbro universe that encompassed Transformers, G.I. Joe, Mask, and one other property they have access to, and they were going to make it like a shared universe, and they were going to try to turn that into a movie shared universe. And it never happened. Although we are now finally getting a Transformers meets G.I. Joe movie in the next year or two. But
Have they started filming?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
At the end, I think they started filming. I know it's in production either way. At the end of Bumblebee, the kid who helps the Transformers gets one of the things he's trying to do in the movie is because he's the older brother of a kid who their parents have died, and he's trying to provide for it, and he's had trouble with the law, so he's trying to get jobs and can't get jobs because he's a felon, blah, blah, blah. So he helps the Transformers and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the movie, he gets a job interview, and the dude hands him a business card, and he looks at it, and he's like, turns it over and it says G.I. Joe on the back. So, and I was one of 3 people in the theater that what? Because it was a Transformers movie. Like, we're going to see a G.I. Joe Transformers movie? This is going to be awesome.
Nice.
I just hope they do it right.
Geez, Mike's favorite cartoon from the 80s, the Care Bears, 1985, 1988. I think Rainbow Bright was in there too, right?
Rainbow Bright and Care Bears were kind of the same thing.
Kind of the same thing. It
was a lot of touch. It was like a lot of good feeling kind of. Don't be down on yourself. Don't let people bully you. That kind of shit.
Along with the Pound Puppies, 86 to 89.
I did like Pound Puppies. Yes.
Thundercats, one of my favorite, just because I have a crush on Chitara, which we'll talk about later.
So, it was about 10 years ago that I realized the people that made Thundercats also made the old Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stop-motion cartoons.
What? Bass Rankin?
Rankin Bass, yeah.
Rankin Bass?
Yeah, same people.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Geez, another one of Todd's favorite, the real Ghostbusters, 86 to 91.
I think that was. I liked the movie, but I really liked the cartoon because the first 4 or 5 seasons was really spooky and really kind of. I mean, it was terrifying to little kids. I enjoyed the shit of it because I was becoming a teenager when that show first started, and it basically started in middle school for me, and then went all the way up until high school, and then it stopped. But I really liked that show. Yeah.
Nice. DuckTales.
I watched that too.
Is that the one with the plane? No.
You're thinking of Tailspin with the plane.
Yeah.
DuckTales was Uncle Scrooge, Donald Duck, and his nephews.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Yep. Scrooge McDuck. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 87 to 96.
I met 2 years ago. I met the cast. That was a cool day.
Nice.
I got some things signed, but I don't know. I saw the cartoon before the movies came out because the movies came out in the early '90s, and the show ran for I think 5 seasons. And like the first 3 or 4 were really good and kind of
87 to 96 on my list.
I stopped watching around 1990.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it became kind of the creature of the week kind of thing where there was always a new bad guy that they were having to fight, and it was just another thing they were trying to sell.
Gotcha. And then Garfield and Friends, 88 to 94. The lasagna loving kitty cat. Yeah.
And so Garfield and Ghostbusters have a connection. A couple different ways. Number one, Lorenzo Music, who was the voice of Garfield, was also Peter Venkman in the first 2 seasons of the real Ghostbusters. Until Bill Murray, kind of said to somebody in production, so why does Egon sounds like the original actor, but my guy sounds like Garfield? So that's when Lorenzo Music got replaced with Dave Coulier, who did an impression of Bill Murray.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know Dave Coulier who did that much voice work.
He can match people's voices. He actually, if you've ever seen any Richard Pryor movie that has been edited for TV, it's Dave Coulier doing the dubs.
Changing the
flip you
fuck to flip or whatever. Yeah. Gee, boys, I have this segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Okay, do it.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while, so I'll kind of cruise through these. So I'll let you decide if they're good cartoons, bad cartoons, or just ugly cartoons. Hulk Hogan had a Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, 85 to 86. In each episode, the vitamin swallowing and prayer saying Hulk Hogan would do battle with the dastardly villains like Rowdy Roddy Piper and the Iron Sheik.
I watched it, and it was my introduction to wrestling.
Nice. That was 23 episodes worth. I didn't know Rowdy Roddy Piper was a heel.
He was, yeah.
Okay.
He was not a good guy. He was always fighting with Hogan in the cartoon at least.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but I didn't actually think it was. When did that series come out?
85 and 86.
Okay, so then that's right before high school. I had to go pee.
Nice. The cartoon nobody needed or asked for, but Pac-Man. the cartoon. 82 and 83, they gave Pac-Man arms and legs, and they didn't really know what to do, so it sort of mimicked like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote, where the ghosts were like chasing him around and trying to capture him and stuff like that, always foiling their plans. Dino Riders came out in 1988. It was only 14 episodes. Sounds like a great thing, but the example of a cartoon that existed solely as an advertisement for the toy line. It was warring clans, the noble Valorians and the evil Rulons are transported to a prehistoric Earth where they incorporate the nearby dinosaurs in their battles. So they would have like mechanical saddles, and they would outfit the T-Rexes and stuff with lasers.
What was the name of this?
The Dino Riders.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, 1988.
As I was walking away, you guys were talking about Pac-Man. I was actually watching this last night on Amazon because there's
the cartoon?
There's a streaming channel that plays all old cartoons from the 80s and 70s. And there was it was a block of Pac-Man cartoons.
Oh, nice. Inhumanoids, 1986. Some of the creative minds behind Transformers and G.I. Joe. Cartoon boasting large monsters and densely plotted stories. Inhumanoids are ancient evil monsters set to destroy the Earth, active after years of imprisonment, due to the sinister plan of Blackthorn Shore.
No,
they were like plant creatures or something, from what I remember.
Yeah. The only thing stopping them from achieving total annihilation is a group of human specialists called the Earth Corps.
Nice.
I mean, it kind of sounds Captain Planet-y, but maybe not.
A little bit before Captain Planet, but yeah. I mean, the bad guys were like these biological creatures. They were like plant things, but they like integrated with machines and stuff, and so they had they would I guess merge with the equipment, and they would have like wheels, and they had big buzz saws on the top of the vehicle.
Oh, geez. So the Earth Corps had to come in and stop them from doing their thing. But probably in the ugly column, Rubik, the Amazing Cube, 1983. Where four children discover a sentient Rubik's Cube named Rubik with magical powers that help children with activities that range from washing a dog to fending off criminals.
I remember,
but it makes sense.
I don't think I ever watched it because I had a Rubik's Cube and it always frustrated the hell out of me, so I didn't have any interest in watching a cartoon about it. Another cartoon, Star Wars Ewoks, 1985-86. It was not much about like the Empire and all that. It was mostly about them just on Endor. It's on Disney Plus if you want to watch it. Same thing with the Droids cartoon as well.
But at least with the droids, they speak a language, right? Ewoks don't really speak a language.
Okay, they in the Ewoks cartoon, they do speak English. They do speak
because they know their language.
The thing is, they would use like the Ewok language as a way of like saying words that you can't say on television.
Nice. They had to contend with villains like the evil witch Morag and the aggressive Dulocs. In that cartoon.
I would absolutely love to see a live action version of that series with those creatures, because those creatures would be terrifying. Because they were creepy as fuck as a kid. And both of those
series. I have to go back and watch that. You said that was on
both of them
Disney
are on
Plus?
Disney Plus. Droids and Ewoks are both on Disney Plus.
Does Ewoks have any Star Wars crossover, or?
You don't see any of like the known characters.
No stormtroopers.
Other than Wicket, Wicket and his family. That's the only things you see that are reminiscent of Empire.
Do you know if that's supposed to be before or after?
I don't remember. There's I think it takes place beforehand because everybody's alive and they're there.
I want to see like a transporter ship crash on Endor, and then all the Ewoks eat the humanoids.
It's definitely before the Ewok movies. Because you know.
I don't remember any of that.
Oh, dude, 1980.
The TV made for TV movies.
Made for TV movies. It came in '85, I think. Both of them.
There was like a couple of kids that were abandoned on Endor or something.
They had a shuttlecraft or escape pod that crashed on Endor, and the first movie, the kids are looking for their parents because they get separated. And the second one is that they've been there for a while and blah, blah, blah.
Todd, I feel Ewoksmas.
I mean,
Jump, jump. Dubba, 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 gup, gup.
I won't do that to you, I promise.
It's going to be like, oh, it's indoor.
Yeah.
Indoor.
Oh, is Todd not happy with our Star Wars holiday special?
Classic.
I legitimately, I'm not as irritated as I was originally, but it's the whole because Sheik thing really bothered me at first. I was like,
nice. Here's one made by the same folks that brought you Thundercats, but Silverhawks in 1986.
That same streaming channel plays a lot of those too.
Okay, so they were part metal, part real, cybernetic enhancements. I don't know. They were like
basically they were
police officers.
Yeah, they were being transported to another galaxy, so they had to be augmented with cybernetic stuff, and they became the only parts of them that are like real, like flesh and bone, are like their face, and some of them have like a real forearm and hand, but most of it is robotic. And they play that on the it's I think it's called retro rewind or cartoon rewind or something. There's a streaming channel on Freevee or Amazon that plays all these old cartoons, and yesterday was mostly Pac-Man. A few days ago it was all Silverhawk, and then a couple days before that it was Beetlejuice the cartoon.
Nice. And then finally on my good, bad, and ugly cartoon list, Brave Star, 87 to 88, on a faraway planet of New Texas, demand for a mineral called curium leads to a new gold rush. Marshal Brave Star, who combats bad guys by calling upon animal spirits to grant him the strength of a bear, the speed of a puma, the eyes of a hawk, and the ears of a wolf.
It sounds like DC's Vixen.
Yeah. So anyway, he was like a marshal on this planet and had to go after the bad guys. So it was a space western.
I did find that on the Internet Archive, and I had it for a while, but I kept having problems with the video, so I ended up deleting the whole series. But
jeez.
Yeah.
Well, boys, that's our cartoon episode.
And now you know.
And now you know. And knowing is half the battle.
The more you know. I remember that from Saturdays all the time. Jeez. Boys, sharing is caring. Anything new or exciting that you've come across this past week?
Or
past 2 weeks, because we didn't do sharing is caring last week.
The Who's Turn world on Horizon Worlds is getting a upgrade because the owner of the world has got accepted into like the creator program, so now he has access to more 3D modeling tools and stuff. So
there you go. That's cool.
A lot of cool new gadgets and things. So because that world it's gonna take a few months for him to figure out how to use the software to rebuild everything, we've been going over to another world called Friday Laughs on Horizon Worlds to do improv comedy. And last night I hopped into another world that does comedy and stuff, and I guess I was supposed to be on the show and I didn't know I was wrangled into it. So when I showed up to watch the show, they pulled me on stage and I was doing improv in front of like a large group of people.
Oh, nice.
How do you feel about it?
Some of the games they played, I wasn't well versed at it, but I think I did okay. So I mean, we had one of the games they played was one that I do like, but they didn't have like the visual help that we have on the other world, which is a game called Alphabet, where three or more people have a conversation, and every word that each person has is the next letter in the alphabet. So if it started with A, I'd say, all about blah blah blah, and then you'd have B, and then you'd have C, and it would just kind of go around, and that's just a lot of fun.
What about you, Mikey?
Geez, well, I got a new record, man.
What'd you get?
It's called TEEVEE Repairman. And he's some Australian dude who recorded a bunch of cool shit at his house. So I got it on Bandcamp, and it fucking rocks. Probably top 5 albums of 2024.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a good record.
TV.
Yeah, TV. Like,
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Is he playing like oddball instruments and stuff, or is it just
No, it's
real-
mostly guitar drums. It's
Okay.
It's punk rock, but
It's punk rock,
yeah,
okay.
but he's doing a really good job. And the sound's great. It's a labor of love.
all him?
It's all him.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really
Bandcamp's a
enjoyable.
great place to find music, man.
It really is. Oh yeah.
Some of my more recent purchases for music has been on Bandcamp.
Right.
Like I bought the entire catalog of this one guy who I've been following since like the mid '90s, the great Luke Ski. He is a parody artist, and he does comedy music, and he's had his music on the Dr. Demento show and stuff, and he. I like the idea of a lot of his songs. Production may not be great, but the concept of it. Some of the songs were great. Like my name is Fred, which is a parody of My Name is Mud, but it's about Fred Flintstone.
Nice.
Insane and the Brain, which is Insane in the Membrane, but about Pinky and the Brain.
The Brain, yeah.
It's some of the, what was some Stealing Like a Hobbit, which was like a parody of an Eminem song. I can't remember the original name of the song, but either way, he's really funny. He was originally from, I think, Wisconsin, and he moved to LA. He's like a storyboard artist now, so. But he also still records and has stuff on Dr. Demento.
Nice.
The Great Lick Ski. Look him up.
Yeah, speaking of albums, I just bought the new album, The Heats, or The
man.
Heaters, if you want. The Seattle area's own, I think Mill
for
Creek's
sure.
own.
Yeah.
The Heats, they just put out a new album.
That's
So I
cool.
just ordered it. I got the download, and it sounds very much like their stuff from the late 70s and 80s. But
Oh, wow. Still around.
yeah.
Cool.
yeah, they've kind of taken a lot of big
Yeah,
hiatuses,
yeah.
but it's still mostly the same guys. Pearson and Don Wood, and I can't remember all the guys' names, but yeah.
Nice.
And they've been playing a lot of shows locally.
Yeah, they really
lately,
have.
So
Yeah.
I need to go out and see
Yeah,
them
did
again.
you go to a record store or you ordered?
No, I ordered it from their website,
All right,
so
nice.
they're going to get the cash
Yeah,
for it,
that's
which
great.
is nice. Yeah. And I watched. The wife was out of town. She went to Dallas for work Sunday through last night. So I binged watched. I think it's on Apple TV. I don't know if you guys have Apple, but Presumed Innocence with Jake Gyllenhaal, and also the gal that played the girlfriend in The Preacher. I can't think of her name.
I like her.
She plays his wife. But this is based on the book and the movie that Harrison Ford did in the early 90s, I think, where he's accused of killing his colleague, and he's a high-powered prosecutor himself. Enjoyed it. I think Jake Gyllenhaal's acting was a little over the top for the show, and I think the show went on because remember Harrison Ford did it in a hour and a half, 90-minute, 2-hour movie. They did this in 8 episodes. So did we need 8 episodes?
Procedural, yeah.
Kind of a thing. But I enjoyed it. I think it was well acted. Well, there's a little twisty stuff throughout. So if you guys get a chance, check it out. And I'm excited that the TV show Silo is coming out, I think, on Friday. Second season of Silo.
Oh, geez, what station is that?
I think that's Apple too. So
Have you guys seen that show? I mean, you may have just mentioned it because I wasn't paying attention. The show with Harrison Ford.
Shrinking.
Yeah.
The wife wanted me to watch that the other day.
It's really funny.
Is it okay?
Yeah. I mean, it's legitimately it's about a pair of therapists and their personal lives dealing with things while they're also trying to help people who are coming to them for help. And I think it's funny. It's season 2 just started, so.
And they need help themselves, right?
I mean, Harrison Ford's character is kind of like the father figure to the other guy, and I can't remember
Jason Segel.
Jason Segel's character.
nice.
And there's Jason Segel's character is kind of a dark, but he's likable, and his shit's kind of funny. And there's a few scenes where you get to see Harrison Ford be funny on purpose.
No, nice.
So
Nice.
yeah.
All right, well, ending this here show on something positive from Cartoonland. Popeye said, I am what I am. No, I'm kidding.
I am what I am, that's all that I am.
Here's a quote from Big Bird himself from Sesame Street. Bad days happen to everyone, but when one happens to you, just keep doing your best and never let a bad day make you feel bad about yourself.
Thank you, Big Bird.
Yay, Big Bird. Yeah, it was National Cookie Day coming up, too, so we got
Did you guys see that Elmo posted on the internet the day after the election and told people that it's gonna be okay?
Well, we don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah,
God bless him for trying.
I appreciate the sentiment, Elmo, but go fuck yourself.
Oh,
Well,
it's not gonna happen.
yeah, jeez. I don't know. All right, boys. Thanks for cartoon running down memory lane and Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. And
let us know what's your favorite. Which ones do we miss?
Comment
Because
below.
there was hundreds I could have put on the thing.
oh my god, we could be talking for a week. I could be talking for a week about
On just cartoons.
Yeah.
So let us know what your favorites are.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And if you think this episode is worth $1 or $5, the boys would love to have it. Please go to ourtownpod.store for merch or to donate now. For less than a cup of coffee, you can also join the website in the member-only area for exclusive bonus content, blogs, and more. It's just $3 a month or $30 a year. Thank you for listening to this production of Our Town Podcast Extraordinaire.